Team Astana. Everyone knew Stage 13 could be unlucky for a few riders. The bad luck bug has already bitten Levi Leipheimer. He broke his wrist in the final kilometers yesterday, and now Lance has lost his greatest ally amidst Astana's swirling soap opera. The Hampton Hotel's overall standings have been reshuffled. Leipheimer is out. It's still Nocentini in front. Contador now in second with Lance in third, but Bradley Wiggins has moved into fourth. Astana still with 3 in the top 5 because Kloden has moved up there. Christian Van de Velde, American from Garmin Slipstream, in 7th place now. Andy Schleck, 1 minute and 49 seconds back, in 8th. And Luis Leon Sanchez is now moved into the top 10. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Cadillac pre-race show. Along with Bob Roll, I'm Craig Hummer. We woke up to a bombshell this morning, Bob, so a two-part question for you. How devastating is this for Levi, and also how devastating is this for Lance Armstrong's chances for the overall?
Well, Lance Armstrong has lost his #1 lieutenant in the Tour de France, and if he's going to start to have some conflict further in the mountains with Alberto Contador, that is a serious blow to his chances. But I think that at the end of the day, it will be the riders that have been hired from Team Astana to do all the tempo, guys like Kloden, guys like Jaroslav Popovic, and eventually, honestly, I think that it will be Lance and Contador battling it out, and that landscape changes a little bit for Lance, but not very much for Contador.
It happened at the very end of yesterday's stage. Levi Leipheimer went down along with a number of other riders. At first, he just thought it was a little sore.
He did, and Cadel Evans also caught up in this crash. You can see as the back of the peloton comes around that corner, Levi is already back up on his machine, so that crash happening very close to the front of the group, which is where you want to stay. But sometimes, even if you stay in the perfect position, you still have bad luck, and Levi, unfortunately, is out of the Tour de France.
Well, Lance sent this via Twitter this morning. That's Levi in his new cast. Obviously, you cannot argue with the way he looks at this moment. Unfortunate for Astana, of course, but we knew coming into today's stage number 13 that it was going to be a tricky one to begin with for everybody. Now, with the other teams getting this news that Levi's out, do they change their strategy at all?
Well, I think that for a lot of the teams that have a rider that wants to win this bike race, it's an extra opportunity to put some pressure on Team Astana, and maybe not that rider himself, a guy like Andy Schleck or a guy like Cadel Evans, but what they can do is send teammates up the road and make fewer guys from Astana do the big chase. That will give them a chance to attack once any of those situations come back together. So a little bit of chaos in the Tour. We'll have to see how Astana plays it.
Speaking of playing it, let's go back to stage number 12. It was a day when AG2R spent a lot of time at the front of the peloton, and you don't think it was because they were showing they were strong?
I don't think it's because they were showing they were a strong team. I think they're worried that Nocentini will be out of the jersey at the end of today's stage. On the other hand, Lance Armstrong, he's right behind the sprinters. There's Mark Cavendish sprinting against Thor Hushovd at the line, and Lance just right on their wheel, and that's pretty amazing for Lance Armstrong to be that close to the front in the sprint. But they've threatened to put a time gap into the front of the field, and Lance does not want to be caught behind that. Even 2 or 3 seconds makes a big difference at this point. So Lance right there in the front.
Another guy on Astana who we have seen show his strength, of course, it was back in stage number 7. That is Alberto Contador.
Contador, this is up to Andorra's Arcali stage. You can see him absolutely warping away from all the contenders. The group he just left contained Andy Schleck and Cadel Evans and Lance Armstrong and Levi Leipheimer, and he seemed to be the best climber, so he could have the good stuff today also.
These are the guys that are trying to protect what they have. We call them the defenders, of course. Nocentini desperately wants to keep yellow as long as he can.
Nocentini is going to have a big job today. He's going to have to defend like he never has before to keep that yellow jersey. Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador, they can just keep an eye on their rivals, perhaps match their accelerations if they do come, but not too much to worry about for Armstrong and Contador.
One rival that has been itching to attack, it seems, is Saxo Bank's Andy Schleck.
Well, we're pretty deep into the Tour de France now, and there haven't been a lot of obstacles for the riders like Andy Schleck to attack Lance. So when he gets to these mountains in the Vosges, I think he's going to go really hard and do some big attacks, put some pressure on Lance and Alberto.
Here are the attackers aside from Schleck. Defending champion Carlos Sastre. He has said all along the third week is where he wants to make a move. We've already seen Cadel Evans try a few things.
Cadel has already been in the moves early on in a couple of stages, so I think he's going to look at today's profile and say, why not give give it a go. I don't have a lot to lose. I'm already 3 minutes plus behind. I'm launching some attacks. So they're going to have to keep a close eye on Cadel Evans on today's stage.
We've talked a lot about Astana's options, but there are a few teams with wild cards, aren't there?
Few wild card riders. Garmin Slipstream has a couple of guys also on that. And that man right there, Andreas Kloden, he's been sitting back in the mountains following Levi's lead a little bit, so he could go in the breaks also. That would be a great card to play for Team Astana. Christian also, why not put in a couple of attacks? Now this man, Bradley Wiggins, he perhaps will be the most mysterious rider throughout the rest of the mountains. Let's see if his commitment to being high up on the overall standing pays off in the Tour de France. Bradley Wiggins right there in fourth, only 46 seconds behind Nocentini.
Well, speaking of Brits, not exactly Rodin's thinker, but our British Brain Trust will join us after this. And as we've always suspected, it's a life of leisure for Phil Liggett every day.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
The song remains the same for our jersey wearers, Nocentini, Cavendish, Martinez, and Martin, but many people feel Ronaldo Nocentini may have spent his last day in yellow. Welcome back to our Cadillac pre-race show. Now we welcome in our captains of Colmar, Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwen. Well, guys, I got Bob's opinion on this just a moment ago, so now, Phil, I'll first go to you. A huge blow for Astana. How much is this going to affect them in the remaining 9 stages?
Well, first of all, a huge blow, too, for Levi Leipheimer. It happened to him in 2003 on stage 1 when he broke his hip. Now he's broken his wrist. A most unfortunate and silly accident, really, at 2.5 kilometres out. The Australian Michael Rogers fell on top of him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been hurt, as was the case with the Cadel Evans, who was fine. As far as Astana is concerned, if there is a split in the camp between Contador and Armstrong, then it's Lance who has lost a valuable ally, and Alberto won't really mind, I don't think. But either way, it's a weakener for the team. It's got to be.
I think it's pretty important too, because we've always talked about this last week of the Tour de France being extremely important, a very tough week through the Alps, the time trial around Annecy, and of course the Mont Ventoux. And to go into the last week, everybody expected to have a full solid team of 9 riders. Going in a man down is going to make it tactically very difficult on some days for Team Astana.
Well, especially Astana seem to have so many weapons, Bob, but at what point now is it smart for them to take the yellow jersey?
Well, I think that they might not have any choice about it. Contador in second place, only 6 seconds behind. Nocentini looking very tenuous on his grasp of the yellow jersey. I think if the big dogs, Cadel Evans, Andy Schleck, go on the attack, Alberto and Lance will have to counter those moves, and Contador we could see in the yellow jersey at the end of the day. But Johan Brunel, a very clever tactician, he might let one of those groups go away, not do a big chase, especially having lost Levi, and they might give the jersey over to a rider like Luis Leon Sanchez for a couple of minutes, and then they won't have to do the work in the next few days before the time trial and the Mont Ventoux stage, the 2 most critical points of the rest of this year's Tour de France.
Because of the weather and certainly the terrain, Paul, today is a day for attentiveness.
It certainly is, because of the weather. I think it's going to make this course a little bit more treacherous. It's a testing course anyway. As we continue our journey around the hexagon of France, there we are, right over on the eastern side of the country, not too far away from Germany. In fact, only about 25 kilometers as the crow flies. The riders leave Vittel, the home of fresh water, behind them, undulating to begin with, but that little circle in the middle there, just before they get to Colmar, is represented by those high peaks on the profiles, and that's where I think the big guns, Phil, are going to have to come out and play.
Yeah, this is a very good day to race, and the weather's not looking too good either at the moment. It's the same distance, or more or less, between Sacramento and San Jose, 121 miles that. 7th time we'll have finished at Colmar. As you can see, we've got 1 Category 1, 2 second category climbs, and 3 climbs there as well. It's going to be a tough day, I think, for all of the riders, but in fairness, I think Bob is right. You're getting the hang of this Tour de France, aren't you? The big boys have got...
It took me a while. He doesn't have to change his tactics at all, and of course he's hoping he keeps himself in yellow in our little competition. So right now, as we begin our Cadillac Performance Prediction segment, let's give you the standings. Nobody got points yesterday, but Bob keeps that comfortable 6-point lead ahead of Paul and I. Phil right there with 10 as well. The Colonial Clash still swinging to the side of America, but it's time once again. The yellow jersey, it's my honor to place it on the shoulders of Mr. Bob Roll.
Yeah, but don't panic, guys, because Bob is not going to get challenged at all this afternoon. He's got such an unassailable lead. He's going to take this all the way into the Alps.
Oh, boy. Well, you know what else he has besides an unassailable lead is an unassailable amount of confidence. You guys aren't in the car with us every night. Forget the picks. It's just non-stop this. You wait until I show you.
I haven't had this for a long time.
I mean, non-stop. So hopefully we can chip away at his lead today. I've got first pick, a very big wild card, but I decided to roll the dice today. Pippo Pizzato, the Italian, I think he was emboldened by Pelazzati's move yesterday. The man on Katusha has had a great year so far. He's the reigning Italian national road champion. He's won 2 stages of the Tour in the past, as well as doing a great job earlier this year in the race. A few of you know, Paris-Roubaix, finished 2nd there, so I think he's going to have a pretty good chance, but I'm fairly confident, Paul, you've got a different opinion.
Of course, I'm going to take a page out of the history books. I'm going to take today, for example, a rider like Laurent Jalabert. Oh, no, he's retired. No, seriously, back to the race. I think I'm going to go to Columbia HTC, because yesterday you might have noticed they didn't do any pacemaking at the front end of the main field to bring back the breakaway for their sprinter Mark Cavendish. And that makes me think that they will be looking to their overall contenders to be in a group of 25 to 30 riders down towards the end of the race. And in that case, when they do come into the finishing line here in Colmar, watch out for Kim Kirken, because he's a very astute tactician. He'll leap out of the pack, get the victory. 4 points for me.
Underneath the smiles and the joviality, there's a need to crush the competition. Bob's got a pick he thinks is number 1, I guess.
I have a very good pick, and I think that the best rider of the current generation is a man called Sylvain Chavanel, and he'll see the success of the other French riders, get a little bit jealous, and go in the break. He's also the highest paid Frenchman, and in the overall standing, he is absolutely nowhere in the charts, but he's number 1 on the jukebox. Watch for Sylvain Chavanel to find the break. Also a very good climber when he gets in those long breakaways, so he's going to get me 4 more points, and then I'm going to start thinking about Paris.
Something tells me the man who picks 4th today is still going to find a way to feel he's being cheated out of something here in this game.
It's a very good point you bring up there, Craig, because in fact you may recall that yesterday I did say that no one would get any points, so that's worth 4 points surely for predicting nobody would get any. However, I'm going to go for a guy who's tried very hard. He's got good form. He's a Frenchman like Bob's choice, and I think Sandy Cassar might make this the 4th stage win for the French today. Bob is right. Johan Brunier will look to ease somebody away that might take the victory and not affect the overall classification. So I am with Sandy Cassar to fly the flag, and then they'll have their best tour for 25 years.
Okay, well, we have all signed on the dotted line. This has been a challenging area for the riders for decades. We'll see how challenging it becomes for us. Today's stage takes the peloton from water into wine. The roads of Vittel give way to the celebrated Alsace region.
The 2009 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Cadillac.
Adaptive friction extinguishers? And hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use the one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
My mom mentioned eHarmony, and I just didn't take myself as a guy who really needed the internet. And then I kind of changed my ideas where it wasn't necessarily to get a date, it was to meet the right person.
Log on and review your matches for free. eHarmony.com.
Finding a great low rate on auto insurance in today's tough economy doesn't have to be a perilous journey into the unknown. Just call the General right now for an instant quote. You'll get a great low rate, a low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59. Don't get caught driving uninsured or paying more for insurance than you need. Call or log on to the General now for immediate proof of insurance.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your debt goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down and bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Attention! Select Dell Minis come standard with Verizon Wireless mobile broadband built in, so you can surf the web, check email, chat, and download on the go. All on America's largest and most reliable 3G network.
I call her lollipop.
Treat yourself to the 10-inch Mini with your choice of 6 colors, starting at just $3.99. Dell, yours is here.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people!
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
It's the symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know. It's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour all season long on Golf Channel.
After 3 stages away from the mountains, Mark Cavendish proved he was the champion on the flats. But today the roads turned back up and the dominant forces of the Tour will return as strength equals time gained. We begin with an appetizer on the roads of the Vosges and Haute-Rhine departments of France before we get to our main course, the Alps. And the battle is ensured on Versus next. Well, after the last few days of flat roads heading east, we're now on the borders of Germany. These are the Vosges Mountains here. The climbers are back in action today on a 124-mile stage from Vittel to Colmar. And as you can see, the rain in the mountains has started to come down. It was forecast, and moments ago it started to arrive at the finishing line here in Colmar. Could be a very, very tough day, stage 13. Hello everybody, welcome back to our live coverage here on Versus of Stage 13 of the Tour de France. I'm Phil Liggett, Paul Sherwen alongside me. Well, the climbers are back in action now. They're all shooting at the leader's yellow jersey of Nocentini, and Lance Armstrong is going to have to, at some stage, go head-to-head with Alberto Contador. The loss of Leipheimer, that's a serious fault for Lance and for the Astana team.
For the whole squad, yes, Phil, but I have to say today, Lance Armstrong, he's done all of the working, getting himself to this point, and he now now knows that the practice is behind him. The examinations are right here, right now for this next 10 days of racing, because for Lance Armstrong, he must now come out and prove that he can win the Tour de France. The shadow boxing is completely over.
Well, Armstrong in the Pyrenees, of course, was up against his own mate, Alberto Contador. And it was in the Pyrenees where Contador went against the team plan and launched an attack towards the top of Arcolis. He actually stole a few seconds. That reversed the personal situation from being behind Lance Armstrong to ahead of him. And since this day, of course, the overall classification has not changed, because Ronaldo Nocentini was the rider who actually took the yellow jersey on this day. Until today, it has been a sunshine tour. The rain is now another element that these riders will have to endure. Nocentini, we all feel, is not going to be the man to look out for by the end of this day.
I'd have to say that we could really, Phil, regard him as a caretaker yellow jersey, because if you look at where all of the contenders are, Alberto Contador is only looking for 6 seconds. Armstrong is looking for 8 seconds. Christian van der Velde looking for 1:24. Andy Schleck 1:49. It's not really very much when you look at those time gaps, Phil, on a stage like today, because things can get completely and utterly turned upside down.
Well, let's have a look then at the Nature Valley stage reset before we go to the rather wet action in the mountains here. Roll away today, Nocentini. Will it be the last day in yellow for him? A lot of people think it will. Out of the start here, and 164 riders on the start line. As we head to sprint number 1, Schettini. This is at 43 kilometres. 7 riders, just half a minute ahead of the field, which we're chasing and not letting them go, because in this group was Juan Manuel Garati, only a few minutes off the race lead. Christophe Moreau taking it out there. At the first climb, it was Garati himself flexing his legs, and so it is beginning to look as though the breakaway was going to go clear, but there was a reaction. So 3 riders from that breakaway, Paul, went clear, and they're still clear. Heinrich Hausler, Ruben Perez and Sylvain Chavanel.
And as soon as they saw that these riders were not dangerous in the overall classification, they were given a certain amount of freedom, building up an advantage in excess of 8 minutes.
All right, well, that's on Nature Valley stage reset. Now we can go down to the action, but let's remind you first of all about the riders who are still left in the Tour. All the pictures, a little bit wet they are today, available in HD on Versus this year from the Tour de France. Check your listings there. The weather is for showers. Well, let's hope they go away right now, because the showers are with us. 55 degrees, so a terrific turnaround in the weather today from yesterday. 18 miles an hour wind. Sadly, no Levi Leipheimer. As we said, he has not started today, and he's dropped away from that 4th place in the Tour de France. Peter Rolling joined him as well. He had stomach problems. He hasn't started either, leaving 164 of the 180, and now only 8 teams of the 20 are still intact. We are keeping an eye on our computers on the pulse with Chris Anker Sorensen, Brian Van Borg and Carlos Beredo today.
I think, Phil, these weather conditions we're looking at are going to make this course even harder this afternoon, because although the first climb of the day, the Col de Schlucht, which we're actually currently about to summit with the 3 leaders, is not that difficult to climb, it makes it very difficult having had this climb before the big climb of the day, which a lot of riders are extremely scared about, with long sections of it in excess of 10%.
Well, massive crowds here. They've just gone past the 2 kilometres to go banner to the top of the Col de Schlucht. As you can see, the rain has come down rather heavily. The gap is up to 8 minutes on the peloton. There's been a few counter-attacks now, and that's the interesting thing. The peloton, because they went on the flat roads, allowed this to run to quite a high gap, but now they've hit the mountains, and these mountains will stay with us. The peloton is reacting. That rider in the red there was Christophe Kern. He's attacked to try and get King of the Mountains point. He's 3rd in that competition. He was immediately marked by the leader, Igor Martinez.
Yeah, but what's more interesting, he's pulled away a small group of riders, and those riders who've slipped into this group are riders who may well be setting something up tactically on the next climb of the day, because Andy Schleck has got Fabian Cancellara in this group. I've just noticed that David Miller has managed to get himself into this group. Astana have got Sergio Paolino in this group, and I think the team managers today have said be extremely attentive. This is Christophe Kern, a former leader of the King of the Mountains. He is trying to get himself some King of the Mountains points, but the first 2 riders in that competition are sitting on his tail, because Franco Pellizotti and Igor Martinez are in that small group of riders just off the front end of the main field.
And so to the 3rd man in the classification, Christophe Kern. So they're all in battle now for what they see as their Tour de France. There are 13 riders on stage 13 in that chase group. And the man who we always say can't climb very well, Fabian Cancellara, is in there as well. We're underway in the wet. We'll see you in a moment.
Kelly Saunders Nature Valley. The place that inspires her to go faster and slower. Elk Mountains, Colorado. Where's yours? 100% natural Nature Valley granola bars. The taste nature intended.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back. Because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
Hey, want to let you know I'm going to be off on Monday.
I never heard of Chinchilla Day.
Sure you have. It's called the Revolucion de Chinchilla. It was when the pet chinchillas of a tiny Pueblo town rose up against the people. For 3 bloody days, the fighting continued. Until finally, the last of the chinchillas was gone.
And how do you celebrate?
3 days in Vegas. It's a cultural obligation.
My name is Esther.
They gave her a home,
Do you like it? It's perfect.
but she is not who you think she is.
The orphanage you thought she came from has never heard of her.
On July 24th,
Esther started the fire.
oh, come on. Esther has a secret
She's been lying to me.
you'll never see coming.
You don't know how long I've waited for a family like yours.
What did you do?
Orphan, rated R.
When it comes to things you care about, leave nothing to chance. Travelers, insurance for auto, home, and business.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Warner Brothers Pictures' Orphan. There's Something Wrong with Esther, in theaters everywhere July 24th. And by Travelers, insurance in sync.
And these are the 3 leaders now about to top the Col de la Schlucht, which takes them through 105 kilometers today. Rubens Perez over the top first, Sylvain Chavanel second, Henrik Hausler third. None of these riders yet have any concern in the King of the Mountains or indeed the race itself. Sylvain Chavanel has started the day 12 minutes behind the race leader.
Well, these riders now starting the descent, Phil, which a few years ago Lance Armstrong was put into difficulty on coming up the opposite way. There is the main field, and they've reacted violently to a group of riders who've just slipped off the front, which was numbered at one time at 16. And the reaction on the front end of the main field is coming from Team Astana.
And this is the man who triumphed in Arcalis in the Pyrenees, Brice Feliu. His brother has retired from the race yesterday because the doping controls would not allow him to use an asthma spray to cure the breathing problems he had, which I think is rather taking the rules to their absolute limit in anti-drugs. But still, he's out and his brother's still in. His brother is the gifted climber, and he's fourth in the King of the Mountains at the moment, so he's pushing on. As you can see, the rain is heavy, but the crowds are absolutely enormous in the Vosges. Look at this.
Well, a lot of people have transferred right across the middle of France with their camping cars to set up these small villages of camping cars on the slopes of all of the big climbs of the Tour. Now, look at that. If you want to hire a camping car in France at the moment, I should think it's pretty near impossible.
Well, this is only the first climb of quite a few today, and the gap is still 6 minutes back to the peloton. So we'll catch up, I think. As we told you earlier, unfortunately, Levi Leipheimer crashed in that last 2.5 kilometers of racing yesterday, and as a result of that, he broke his right wrist. Well, we can talk to Levi now, who's standing at the start in civilian clothing with Frankie.
Levi, a tough day yesterday. Obviously, a crash that surprised many because many of us didn't see it. And you mentioned that you had hurt your wrist, but this is the worst possible news. Can you tell me what happened yesterday and what the prognosis is?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what happened. I was caught off guard a little bit by the corner. We were moving up fast on the outside and started to slide a little bit and was trying to correct myself and ended up going over someone's wheel. And last thing I remember is seeing the curb coming and thinking that it was going to be bad. And I went over the curb and got up, and I thought, wow, that didn't hurt that bad. But I got back to the hotel, and by the time I got back here, I couldn't grab the bars. And then as the night went on, the wrist was hurting quite bad and didn't sleep much last night. So I just got an x-ray, and the scaphoid is broken. So I figured that when I saw the curb coming, I must have put my hand out.
Obviously, this is devastating for yourself because you had your goals, your team has your goals. What are your thoughts right now of having to drop out of the Tour?
Yeah, I had to do it once before, and the pain of the wrist doesn't compare to seeing the Tour de France leave you and continue on without you. That's a rough one, and not looking forward to that.
You came through the Pyrenees, not a whole lot of shake-up there. How difficult is it going to be for you to be able to watch these final stages, going to Mont Ventoux and the Champs-Élysées, watching on TV instead of being here actually doing it?
Yeah, it's really tough. You know, like I said, I've done it before, and you know, we were holding all our cards close to the chest and waiting and conserving, and yesterday before the crash, my legs were feeling really good. Like the start was hard, and towards the end, I was just floating, and I thought it was a great sign for what's to come, because the real race, a little bit today, but the real race starts on Sunday.
Yeah, you never know what happens in the Tour. Well, everyone's sorry to see you have to leave, and of course, the teams, you know, they're not going to be better off without you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. That's Osisco Insider. But let's get back to the action here. This is the sprint now for fourth place up the climb. King of the Mountains leader Martinez taking on Franco Pelazzotti here. And it's a false flat, and then, wow, that was close. Yeah. I don't know who got that.
You can't see from that angle, Phil. We're going to have to wait for the judges to come back because that was very close indeed. It was side by side, and really from the angle that we were looking, difficult to discern who was the first man to get across the line, but that is going to be a great battle.
I'll give it to Martinez for the moment. The judges will make the final decision. But that was the closest sprint. This is quite a battle between the Italian and the Spanish rider in these early points parts of the King of the Mountains. Remember, the Alps are where you go hunting for the big points, and they start on Sunday when we go to Verbier in Switzerland with a mountaintop finish.
Well, that's a battle to follow. This is the descent of the climb now, the Col de la Schlucht, and that was the climb that the Tour de France came over in, I think it was 2005. It came up this way when Lance Armstrong all of a sudden was put under serious difficulty by the attacks of T-Mobile and very quickly isolated from all of his teammates.
Well, we'll take a break, but as we can see, it's going to be all about who's going to win the King of the Mountains today, I think, and Martinez is looking good.
the picture, let's not forget how beautiful this day has become. Here comes the sunshine, here comes a new day.
See what the new day brings. Days Inn, the best value under the sun.
The inherent value of a Range Rover Sport easily handles the ups and downs of sand, mud, and the economy. Range Rover Sport, the luxury that's more than a luxury.
What gets you out running, walking, or doing what you really love to do? You have your own motivations for being out there. Enjoy every second. The Boulder Running Company has what you need to make your experience even better. From free video gait analysis, to a huge casual shoe selection, to apparel and accessories. The Boulder Running Company. Boulder, Denver, Colorado Springs, and online at boulderrunningcompany.com.
The first time you meet me, you're not gonna like me.
I am dying here.
But you're gonna like yourself a whole lot better.
Welcome back. Let's remind ourselves of one of the bicycling magazine stages you can't miss. We're talking about the one that goes from Bourg-Saint-Maurice to Le Grand Bornand, stage 17, 4 stages away, 5 days. It's next Wednesday, and it comes to you at the early time, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're in the high Alps there, and there'll be plenty of action, rest assured. And don't forget to visit bicycling.com for daily tour commentary, interactive stage maps, and more. Well, I think we can confirm that climb that we've just seen with that tremendous sprint finish. Perez, Chavanel, Hausler, they didn't even bother, but what a sprint it was for 4th place, and they've given it to Igor Martinez, as we thought. Franco Pelazzotti got 6 points in 5th place, so there's a 1-point difference there. Overall, Martinez nudged ahead, 95 plays, 77 in the King of the Mountains. Christophe Kern tried to break into the action. He got a couple of points. He's 59, and Fei Liu also tried to get in the action, didn't get any points. He stays at 49. So these are the tricky moments now. We've topped over the Vosges department. We're now in the department of the Haute Rhine here, the High Rhine, as we race down towards the Rhine itself, which splices France and Germany, right down on the east side of the country. And we'll drop away here. I was going to say today, Paul, we will see absolutely stunning countryside in this region, but with all these clouds around, I'm not too sure we will.
Well, we will see stunning racing, I think, because of these weather conditions. And just to put an onus on the weather conditions, some riders have a very hard time riding in wet and windy conditions like this, because they may well have a little bit lower body fat. And when you have that slightly lower body fat, you don't actually keep the cold out quite so much, and that's going to affect some riders. But one man who's always made his great performances in bad and rainy conditions is Lance Armstrong. If you remember his first World Championships, which most people tend to forget, he won the world title in 1993. That was in Oslo, and that was a nasty rainy day.
It was indeed, and it certainly has been quite miserable. You see the spray coming off our motorbike. Well, the same applies off those racing wheels of the riders as well. Now we've got the best part of a 20-kilometer descent here as we drop down from 1,139 meters to 413 meters.
Although it's very hard to pick this rider out, I have a gut feeling this is actually Linus Gerdemann who's made the move here. And funnily enough, he's a rider who is racing down towards the German border, because Colmar is about 25 kilometers away from Germany this afternoon. Gerdemann is a rider who, before the start of the Tour de France, had a big ticket on his back. He's a former wearer of the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. Moved across during the winter transfer season to Milram to be a leader of that squad. And he's taken advantage of this very technical and wet descent to try and open up a gap.
This is the forest I was telling you about, and you can see how wet the roads are here. These riders have got to be very, very careful. Bad luck can be literally just around the corner here as they make this very quick descent. Normally it is quite a good descent. There are one or two full switchbacks on the way down, but not too many for high-speed chase. If this is Linus Gerdemann, I'm not too sure, but it might be. He's a rider who really puts his heart into training. Looks like it is, actually, as he comes up closer to the camera. 81 kilometers to go now. So Linus on the descent. There's a nice descending style for you. Looks a bit painful to me as he leans right onto those handlebars. So as the riders descend in a long thin line, keeping themselves dry as best they can, they're heading to the town of Munster now, which makes the smelliest cheese in the world, I think. We'll take a break. Rejoin us.
Great choice. I don't know what that means, but if you were to lose your job for some reason, the Sears Buyer Protection Program would cover your purchase until you're working again or your appliance is paid off. You know, should you lose your job.
The Sears Buyer Protection Program. One more way we've got you covered when you use your Sears card. Come in now and save 20% on all Kenmore appliances. Sears, life well spent.
Wow, sweet minivan. Woo.
That's minivan A. You.
It's raining! With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
Nanomolecular what? A force field that prevents sludge.
Tired of the claims? Get a guarantee. Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
On eHarmony, I felt like I was meeting somebody that I already kind of knew.
At eHarmony, our in-depth questionnaire lets us get to know the real you, so we can match you with other singles on far deeper levels than other dating sites. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, you take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, and you're gone. I did 19 last year, but it's kind of a crazy feeling. You got all these friends at college taking history exams, yet I'm sitting there going 230 miles an hour. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes.
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
The Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep summer clearance is here, and it's the best time to get some of the best deals. Get in now and get the Chrysler Town & Country with a generous cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. The trail-rated Jeep Grand Cherokee also comes with a cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. Or choose a hardworking all-new Dodge Ram truck with a cash allowance that's tough to beat. All with our best-in-the-business lifetime powertrain warranty. So hurry, come see the deals we've built for you at the Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep summer clearance.
Let's check in on the American overall standings. Sadly, we are one down now with the retirement this morning of Levi Leipheimer. These are the positions. Lance Armstrong is third. Christian van der Velde, because Leipheimer's out, has gone up by 1 place, as has everybody else here in the picture. So Christian van der Velde is our Cisco Insider this morning at the start.
Christian, you've had an interesting last couple of stages. You've taken a couple of falls. How are you feeling right now? How are the nerves? More importantly, how are the legs?
The legs are great. Now, yesterday I didn't feel good, to be honest, at all. I mean, you never feel good after you crash, and I'm sure some of the guys who crashed yesterday at the end of the stage will be feeling the same. But today I feel great. You know, I slept well, relaxed. I don't have good memories from this part of the country from when I crashed a long time ago, but ready to put that behind me and be at the front.
A lot of these guys have not been tested since Andorra 7 days ago. Will these guys come out swinging, or do you think it'll be kind of a wait-and-see day today?
It's going to be a hard day today. I perceive a very hard day, and I think that people who are still behind need to start making their moves. And given that if it does rain, if it is wet, those chances will just be, they're going to be much bigger.
You're high up enough where you can just follow, or will you be one of those guys that maybe takes an opportunity to go for it on maybe the Platzerwassel?
If it's there, I'm not going on the Schnitzel, but I'll be going on, towards the end sometime if the opportunity's there.
Beautiful, thanks, Christian. I got to see.
Well, the worst dreams are realised here by Christian there, because the rain has come. He was referring to a crash he had 48 hours ago, when he was involved in a crash when one of the kites on the road fell down, one of the big balloons, and nobody had a camera on it, so we couldn't show it to you, but he was one of the riders who took quite a wallop. He does seem to be coming back, though, and he's in a good position. Sadly, he's climbed 1 place today to 7th because of the withdrawal of Leipheimer. There's the long pack now as they complete the descent of the Col de la Schlecht. Will soon be in the valley.
Cavendish.
Well, there's an incredible picture there, Paul, and they're twisting themselves down into Munster, the home of the smelliest cheese in the world, right?
Well, it is a fairly smelly cheese, but if you can get yourself around the smell, it's a very tasty cheese, and it is made very famous from this region. The cows grow. The cows actually stay in a lot of the meadows here, and we saw most of them out last night. And it was a pretty drive through here last night, although you don't get much chance to see that with the weather conditions here this afternoon.
These are the leaders. That's Ruben Perez, Sylvain Chavanel, Heinrich Hausler are the 3 leaders. I suspect, though, that the in-house battle is being enacted all the time now, just behind these 3 leaders. It might be these 3 will stay away to the finish. It just depends how the leaders attack each other as we get on to the big climb of the day, the Col du Platzerwassel. And this is the sprint here in the town of Lutenbach. Because the names are all German in this region. This is the Alsace region of France now, but it was once part of Germany. Most of the French people here speak German as well.
Yeah, you'd be happy to know, Phil, as the main field was going through Munster, this is also the home very much to the European stork, which is a migratory bird which is very famous in both the Alsace and Lorraine areas.
And do you know, Paul, it was down, I think, to about 4 or 5 pairs, and so it's now a totally protected bird, and it's shot up, I think, to 140 breeding pairs of the stork here. We might even see them today because they seem to plant their nests on top of everybody's chimneys. And so, thank heavens, they don't need to put fires on at this part of the world in the summer.
Now, the main field, you see those lines across the road there. Those are very dangerous in wet and windy conditions like this. Linus Gerdemann is the lone chaser behind the leading group of 3 riders, and he's trying to ride across a very large gap of around about 6 minutes.
I'm not sure this is a sensible move, Paul. He won't be chased at the moment by the field, but it's a big gap to start going hunting by yourself.
Well, it is when you bear in mind that we're very likely to have a pretty hard chase once we get to the next climb of the day, and he's only got himself about 20 minutes. Looking back, in fact, you can just see 20 seconds. Sorry, you can just see the main field in the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's Linus Gerdemann as he's going off, and 3 riders in the lead. This man is in between, and I think pretty soon they'll be up on him just as he starts the climb, I guess, of the Platzerwassel. We're not far away from that, so we'll take a break before we get there.
20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-953-7993 or visit cash4gold.com.
At the World Championships, it's not about wrapping yourself in newfound glory. It's about wrapping yourself in old glory.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV.
It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. Be there. Be there. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed. Yeah. Be there.
Welcome back. These are the top 5 this morning. Sadly missing off the list, Levi Leipheimer out with a broken wrist, so that place now goes to Bradley Wiggins in 4th, and Andries Kloden comes in to give Astana still 3 in the top 5. The man who might be in yellow tonight, Lance Armstrong. Here he is now talking to Frankie Andreu. He's our Cisco insider.
Lance, with Levi out with a broken wrist, what does that mean to you and to your team with over a week left still of racing?
Well, I think it's a serious blow to our team. I mean, if you we had a nice four-headed approach there, and when 25% of it's gone now, and you saw even there some stages in the Pyrenees when there was an attack, we had 4 guys there. So now now one's gone, and not only does it hurt us, I think it helps the others in terms of their morale and them thinking perhaps that the team has been weakened. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's part of bike racing. It seemed like an insignificant crash that all of a sudden turned out to be pretty major.
Today we hit some bigger mountains. It's climbing all week. Your team has been conserving waiting. What are you thinking? What are the plans for today for Team Astana?
More conserving and waiting. We're in a good position. I mean, we don't. The responsibility is not on us to attack, and we got to follow Cadell or Sastra or the Schlecks or Menchov, whoever attacks. And so,
do you think they will attack? Is today difficult enough, especially at the end, to be able to make some kind of selection?
No, maybe not at the end, but the Plotzer-Wassels. Not that I've seen it, but I know Saxo Bank has previewed it, so I suspect that they have a plan. And yeah, it's hard. Maybe still again too far from the finish, but it's 8 or 9%, which means it's for real.
All right, thanks.
It's for real, and it's not very far away now, Lance. So I wonder how you're feeling in that peloton now, thinking of what's to come and who might put in the attacks on the Plotzer-Wassel. As Lance Armstrong tucked in nicely on the left with his team all around him. Contador also just peeping into our picture at the moment, and we're not far away from getting onto the Col du Platz of Assel. Everybody cramming down the food here, Paul, because this Platz of Assel climb isn't very far away now, and everybody is saying it really is a toughie.
Yeah, it's very important on a day like this, Phil, as well, because of the weather conditions, to actually eat even more than you would normally, because your body is actually burning up more calories just to try and keep warm. And if you forget to eat on a day like this, and we've seen it on many occasions, riders can easily hit the wall. And it's good to see the experience of those true professionals on the front there from Team Astani, keeping themselves topped up with energy. Silence Lotto sitting in the back, that looked like Matty Lloyd, one of the teammates of Cadel Evans. Cadel involved in that crash yesterday with Levi Leipheimer, but luckily enough for him, he got up and walked away with no injuries. And poor old Levi today has to have an operation this afternoon, and then tomorrow will be flying back to the United States after a very nasty accident.
Well, Levi himself thought it was a routine fall until he didn't get to sleep in the night and his wrist started aching and swelling, and then that was it. It was a break. The riders then are now beginning gentle roads here before they start the big climb up the Col du Platz of Assel. It's a climb I can't recall seeing. It's been climbed once before from the other side, but we're definitely going up the steepest side, and it's going to be a toughie. The three leaders there are working their way to try and get through. Now, the big danger could become Sylvain Chavanel. He's exactly 12 minutes behind the yellow jersey, so they won't want him to get too far. He's reclaimed at the moment more than half of his lost time, and they don't want to do an escape like Nicky Sorensen did yesterday. Sorensen claimed 6 minutes back of his 10-minute deficit.
And let's not forget, it was in this area on the roads down to Pontarlier that Lance Armstrong and Johan Brunel made a little bit of a tactical error a number of years ago when they allowed a breakaway to get 35 minutes. And it took Lance Armstrong an awful long time to eat back into that advantage and get himself the yellow jersey.
It did. It was a long fight. I don't think they'll do that again if they can stop it. But again, I think we'll see the other riders attack, and I reckon Cadel Evans will go one of the first riders once we're on to the Col du Platz of Assel. Expect Andy Schleck to go. That will force Contador and Armstrong to follow. I think their plan would be to try and keep Ronaldo, Nocentini and Hierro and have no race if they could. I don't think that can happen today, especially with the rain. So the riders, Sylvain Chavanel, packing in the food before we start the climb today, and then when we get onto that col, we're going to see a lot of attacking. The sun was out earlier today. This is the top of the climb. Look at that, 1183 meters.
Another perfect day. I think I'll walk this way where the trees do sing. I'm feeling part of everything. And all my troubles seem to fade away. And skies look brighter.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
We need to send an expert.
A walking, talking, know-it-all.
Expert. A guru.
How about Wu? Wu will do.
Where to?
First stop, Peru.
Then send Wu to Kathmandu.
What's next?
Timbuktu.
And area code 212. So Timbuktu, Kathmandu, Peru, and 212?
All by 2:30.
Not a problem.
Need an expert? Push a button. That's the Human Network Effect. Learn more at cisco.com/newways.
Watchmen on Blu-ray.
Come to get me.
Watchmen. Buy it on Blu-ray and DVD. And look for Watchmen, Tales of the Black Freighter. Available now.
The hotter the hot. The colder the cold. The greater the demand. The more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Only at AutoZone.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
This is
Testosterone Theater on Versus, and this is August. Sweaty, steamy August. Awesome sports flicks August. With Van Damme. Hiya. How'd he do that? Hiya. Oh no, he can't see. And Sunday Aggression with McScreamy. And Miss Steamy. Go back to the minors with Men in Lingerie. Makes you uncomfortable. Watch it anyway. It's Man Golf with Costner and Cheech. Hey. Swing in water, swing after swing. Why won't Cheech stop him? Watch it all on Testosterone Theater on Versus. Hey.
Welcome back to the Tour de France Stage 13. These are the protected stalks in the area. 148 breeding pairs here. Let's have a look at the climb they're now going to see today, the Col de Platz of Vassel. It takes us 62 kilometers from the finish. It is a very steep climb. We've never been up this side before. Takes up to just under 4,000 feet in very short shrift. It's just a 5 miles ascension, this one, and it is at 3,914 feet. Average gradient is 7.6%, but it kicks in, believe me. There are two particularly very steep stretches, they say around 15%. And as I say, no riders ever climb this in competition in the Tour de France, but one or two have been out to look at it. Well, the peloton really has slowed down now. They've almost stopped here. They're scared to death of the swinging onto the Col de Platz of Vassel. Takes them up to 4,000 feet virtually. And then I think we'll see somebody accelerate immediately they join this climb.
Well, there's Andy Schleck sitting up there, just making sure that he's got himself covered over with his raincoat.
He's marking the right man. He's on the back wheel of Lance Armstrong there.
Just looking to see the yellow jersey. The only way you'll spot him. There's Nicholas Roach with the Irish National Champions jersey on. And in fact, just a little bit further back behind Nicholas Roach was the yellow jersey of Rinaldo Nocentini. Armstrong sitting up, stretching his back as he did 4 years ago, Phil, when he was racing in the Tour de France. It always seemed that his big problem was his back, and he always had to stretch it when he got into a big long mountain stage like this. The blue raincoat at the back there, hard to spot, but that in fact is Oscar Freire, who may well try and get himself over these climbs today. If there's a big bunch comes down to the finish, he's probably the only sprinter who will survive.
I just can't see that happening today, and I don't think the organisers want it, because it's a pretty tortuous trip into town, and so is the finish here on the Champ de Mars in Colmar. Quite narrow. A lot of people here, despite the rain, which is falling still on the finishing line as well. These are the leaders. They're on the climb now, so we'll see how they react. Heinrich Hausler checking on with the team car there. This was to be a day when they were going to ban those little earpieces and intercommunication between managers and riders, but that's all been washed away now. It's going back to the drawing board at head office in Switzerland, I think. This is Christoph Kern, who's now decided to try again and snatch some points in the Kingdom Mountains. He's third overall, and he's just left the peloton.
Well, it's not the easiest way, Phil, to try and get yourself a few points. He's trying to jump away at around about 10 kilometers to go to the summit, and they haven't actually yet started the climb of the day. So I think he will get picked up by a reaction from the main field.
Might be the only time that they can actually do this. There's the Église Memorial de Lem. I'm looking at the clock. They better start work on the clock first, because that's not the time of day.
No, it's not. I think there's a problem there. In fact, this church was originally dedicated in 1450 to Our Lady of the Snows, because it really snows quite a fair amount in this part of the world.
Well, it's another beautiful church in the region. We're now in the Haute-Rhine department of France. We've come out of the actual Vosges department. Christoph Kern, for the moment, no immediate reaction. It looks to me as though we might have an Euskaltel-Euskadi rider coming away in the orange racing cape, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's Igor Martinez. He's been very active in these climbs.
It wasn't Martinez, because that rider had dark shorts on. Martinez has got the polka dot shorts on, upper road of fraction. We've got Linus Gerdemann here. He's comfortably now on the slopes of the Col de Platz of Vassel. But again, I have to say, Phil, I don't think this is sensibly a very good tactical maneuver.
Can't see why he's doing it unless he's feeling very, very good today. And we'll see what comes out of it. Maybe hoping for a breakaway to join him. He's a rider who really trains hard. He puts his whole heart and soul into cycling. He trains a lot in South Africa, actually, and he'll do 6-7 hour days, and he takes his racing very seriously. So I could only imagine he's got something in his mind he wants to achieve. 5:45 to him. 7:15 back to the peloton at the moment.
So he's about a minute and a half in front of the main fielder. Just looking down at that church again, Phil, that is made out of the local sandstone from this part of the world, a very pink sandstone. And that's a dominant feature of a lot of the buildings in this area around here.
Reminds me of all the pink painted cottages of East Anglia in Britain. There's the face of Christoph Kern. This is what he did on the Col de la Schluck, and that's what happened on the Col de la Schluck. He got caught again.
Well, he was hoping that the main field would sit up and let him go, but I think if he'd read the book this morning of the tactics of all of the big teams, there are not going to be any presents handed out this afternoon, and he's got himself about 25 meters off the front end of the main field. Logic would say, sit up and wait for the pack, my friend.
And the climb hasn't really started to bite yet. He's about 1 kilometer into the 8.5 kilometers ascent of the Platz of Arsel. And it looks as though the Euskaltel riders also slipping back into the pack, which is clearly under the control of Astana. They've got 3 men. I think they'll want to quickly re-establish they are still the best team in this race, even though they've lost the team lead a few days ago. And yesterday it swung across the Saxo Bank following that lone win by Nicky Sorensen. So the peloton coming together slowly but surely, dragging them back into the action. No sign of the rain going away. Even here at the finishing line, it is looking still very, very dark, but they haven't wasted time today. 90 kilometers covered in the first hour and 42 in the third hour. 67 kilometers left to go at the moment as we look onto the field here. Field going pretty quick. There's all the police gendarmes cutting their way through the Col de Platz of Arsel. The battle on this mountain, though, I think, is still to begin.
Sky in the all-new Infiniti G hardtop convertible, the latest in the remarkable Infiniti G line.
It seems like prices just keep getting higher. But at Vonage, we've always charged $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. So even though the cable and phone companies have been busy raising their rates year after year, we've been charging the same $24.99. And now we've made switching home phone service even easier by waiving all setup and equipment fees. Plus, you'll get 25 great features like unlimited international calling to 5 countries in Europe, anonymous call block, and voicemail that's delivered to your home phone, cell phone, and even your email. And there's never been a better time to sign up because you'll pay no setup, equipment, or shipping fees. Plus, get our 30-day money-back guarantee. So go to Vonage.com or call 1-877-4VONAGE today and hear just how good $24.99.
If you're looking for a better job this year, here is something to consider. A career as a medical assistant is the single fastest growing job in the United States, expected to grow nearly 60% in the next 10 years. That means opportunity for you. Pick up the phone and soon you'll be training for a job that puts you in demand. A career as a medical assistant is a career that makes a difference. Get the training you need to land a great job in the rapidly growing medical field.
Call Anthem College today at 1-800-698-1809. Your new career could be a phone call away.
The latest Turtle Wax breakthrough in car polish is Clear. Crystal Clear Turtle Wax Ice, a clarified synthetic carnauba that performs like no other polisher wax. Ice leaves no white residue on trim or in seams.
I had no residue whatsoever. It was perfect.
Clear and deep, really brings out the shine.
Ice is so advanced, you can use it in the hot sun with outstanding results. Now, your choice is clear. Crystal Clear Ice from Turtle Wax, world leader through innovation.
Well, don't forget the Tour de France. It is the best race ever. You'll all agree with that. Here's some special stages to watch out for. Stage 14 tomorrow from Colmar. We go on to Besançon. It is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're then into the throat of the Alps, but no major climbs tomorrow. And then on stage 16, a real toughie, Martigny to Bourg-Saint-Maurice. That comes to you at the rather early time on the West Coast. 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be with that race for much of the stage, and it should be one that you must not miss. And of course, if you do, highlights in our expanded program, 8 p.m. Eastern every day. So Linus Gerdman, he's tasted yellow in the Alps before, Paul, and when he did that, he was an unknown. Now he's trying to establish himself here as he comes through the mountains, heading towards the big mountains of the Alps.
Well, he did that on an alpine stage, as you mentioned, Phil, and that was on the day to the Grand Bornand. They went over the Col de la Colombière, and strangely enough, we go over the Col de la Colombière this year in a few days' time. Astana in complete control at the front end of the main field, and they're already doing a little bit of damage at the back of the pack, and this is a surprise to me because Ruben Platzer is in difficulty. Ruben Perez is in difficulty.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised to see that Heinrich Hausler and Sylvain Chavanel are beginning to shake off this young man. Ruben Perez, he's not the first timer in the Tour de France. I thought he might have not cracked quite so early on, but it looks like it is beginning to get quite steep. They are 4.5 kilometers from the summit at the moment. Still a long way to climb. They'd need his strength, I think, on the roads over the top, but they can't wait for him if they've got any ambition. Heinrich Hausler there, just checking where he's gone to.
Well, they've gone through the toughest part of the climb. The length of this climb, the total length is 8.7 kilometers. The average gradient is 7.6%, and it climbs up to just inside of 1,200 meters at the summit. The toughest part, though, Phil, is seriously at the bottom between the 2nd and 5th kilometer, where the majority of that part of the climb is in excess of 10%. Heinrich Hausler keeps looking over his shoulder here. He's probably saying to himself, well, what happened to that bloke? I thought he was a climber.
Well, he's ridden it. This is his 3rd Tour de France. He was 50th overall. The first year he rode in 2007. Last year he finished 89th. And it's the first time we've actually seen him in action in front of the cameras. But he's gone back very, very quickly here as he's fallen away. And Hausler is beginning to look very, very strong indeed. I wonder if he's softening the field up in the hope that Carlos Sastre, last year's winner, can do something. Maybe not today, but in the last vital week of the Tour in the Alps.
Linus Gerdman, I may well have done him a slight injustice before, because on the slopes of the climb here, Phil, he's actually started to eat into the advantage of the 3 leaders, which have now split, and he's fairly close to 5 minutes in arrears. But the main field now is also starting to crack up the pace, and they're just now coming onto the tail of Christoph Kern.
So Kern was staying away. I thought they'd swept him up, but he's still bashing his head against the col with the riders breathing right down his neck. So it's a hard way to get points in the King of the Mountains, and he's still 6 kilometers from the summit here. Trying to force a reaction from the field, perhaps. Anyway, as we watch Christoph Kern, now we've got a nice aerial view here of the col. Let me remind you to log on to versus.com/ride of your life. Do it every day. Join the race. You could win a trip for 2 to the 2010 Tour de France, or a Cervelo S2 bicycle. Also a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey. The word you need today is pursuit. And so enjoy that one and log on as soon as you can. Back on the slopes now of the Col du Platzer-Vassel. 2 leaders now, and they look okay at the moment. Well, he's closed into 4:43. The peloton are also closing in again on the mountain. They are closing in 6:07 now, and a little bit of a chat going on, saying, what do we do? Do we wait for him or not?
Well, Hausler there obviously realizing that from the summit of this climb, Phil, there's a long way to go to the finish, and they realized that 3 pairs of legs are a lot better than just 2, especially if they're going to survive on the 65-kilometer ride to the finish line. And just a little bit further back, we've got Linus Gerdman. He's starting to come across the gap. But I think the main field now are taking this climb a lot more seriously.
Well, he's gone through 5 kilometers. The peloton are about 400 or 500 yards behind him, not a lot more than that. He was just trying to have a look down through the trees there to see if he can see them on the hairpin bends. 4 kilometers to go for these 2. And they've just really got to get on with the job in hand because of the climbs which are left. We have a third category climb at Bannstein, and then we have the Col du First Plan. That is a second cat. Once over the top of that, it's 21 kilometers downhill, flat out, top gears and into Colmar. So that would be the place to jump if you were in a league group.
It certainly would. It's an ideal situation. There's the face of Armstrong, very concentrated, looking at the back wheel of the riders in front of him. He's got two teammates setting the pace. One is Jaroslav Popovic here, just getting out of the saddle with the dark glasses. With the clear glasses on the other side there was Sergio Paolino. That's him, Olympic silver medalist in Athens in 2004.
Christian van der Velde, who said he had a real bad day yesterday after his crash the day before, is just off to our left as well. So he said he felt good today, and he's living up to it on this climb. Determination of Armstrong. He's never seen this climb, and he normally recce's the ones he doesn't know, but this is one he knew nothing about. But he said that Saxo Bank did come here. They have checked it, and he figured they may make a move on this climb. But so far, Andy Schleck has done nothing.
David Miller over on the left-hand side for Garmin Slipstream. He may well be wondering whether they're going to try and set something up for their men, Van der Velde or Bradley Wiggins, who with the abandon or the non-start of Levi Leipheimer this morning has moved up into 4th place overall.
Well, that's a great high position for Bradley Wiggins to start his final campaign in the last week of the Tour de France, even though all the big roads still lie ahead. If he can hold these form he's shown in the Pyrenees, he really could be looking at a place on the podium, and no one would have bet that to happen to Bradley. But he's a different bike rider in this tour than I've ever seen before.
This now, Phil, is the start of the damage that is being done by the tempo of Team Astana. This is further down the slopes. That's Mark Cavendish in this group. This is what is called the Gruppetto. This is the group of the riders just trying to survive. Bernard Eisel staying alongside Mark Cavendish, the green jersey. Here, there on the far side, Tom Bonen. All of the big sprinters will be in this group.
Well, Cavendish won't see any more of the race for the rest of the day. All they do now is ride in this autobus, as Paul calls it, and ride to the finish and make sure you beat the time of a delay, because if you're too far behind the winner, then you're eliminated from the Tour. This is the face of Sylvain Chavanel, won his stage of the Tour de France last year at Montluçon. Riding alongside Heinrich Hausler, narrowly beaten by Mark Cavendish in Milan-San Remo, the first big classic of the year. Showing great form. Gerdeman is chasing. The main field is splitting up. Lance is looking good. We'll take a break.
The Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance is here, and it's the best time to get some of the best deals. Get in now and get the Chrysler Town & Country with a generous cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. The trail-rated Jeep Grand Cherokee also comes with a cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. Or choose a hardworking all-new Dodge Ram truck with a cash allowance that's tough to beat. All with our best-in-the-business lifetime powertrain warranty. So hurry, come see the deals we've built for you at the Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance.
How much is this one?
Really?
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 How much?
Really?
Really? Really? Really?
Flooring doesn't have to be really expensive. Come to Lowe's and see our huge selection of tile, carpet, and hardwood floors. All at our everyday low prices, guaranteed.
This looks good.
Really good.
Lowe's, let's build something together.
Shop at Lowe's and have carpet installed throughout your entire home for just $139.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment and Triple Advantage.
Going to bars and going to clubs, that really is a passive way of meeting people. eHarmony really is an active thing.
It's I'm ready, I want this. eHarmony is a tool in that choice.
eHarmony.com. Review all your matches for free.
My name is Derek Berge. I'm in Los Angeles, getting honked at.
Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute.
74 miles, 4 hours. I have a sweaty, wet back, and it's 110 degrees. Speed limit, 65. Me, 5. My engine, not happy.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
Why are you in my yard?
Why are you in your yard? There's all sorts of super destinations. You could go to a jazz festival, stock car racing, ride a donkey in a canyon. You just gotta go. I got free Wi-Fi.
We are back. We are looking straight into the heart of the peloton, which has really started to crack hugely now. This is time to foxtrot, because the rider on the front who lifted the pace was Saxo Bank's Nicky Sorensen, the rider who won yesterday. He just got to the front, he's lifted the pace, and Andy Schleck was waiting for it, probably commanded it, and Armstrong is there as well. But this is a definite lifting of the pace now. It had to come at some stage, Paul. Saxo Bank have seen this climb. They know where to hit the riders. Armstrong knew it, and he's paying attention. But this is a tremendous effort to crack the field, and it's working. Look at this.
Well, it's being done by Team Saxo Bank, and we expected that to happen as well. Hard to pick up the riders that have been dropped here, but a number of riders have been put under pressure because of the acceleration of Saxo Bank. They've seen this climb here as an opportunity to get rid of 1 or 2 contenders.
Well, they're beginning to labour on the climb now. There's Bradley Wiggins to the pictures too. He's going to have to close up this gap now because the pressure has gone on at the front. They are somewhere around 4 3/4 kilometres from the top of the peloton. There is Lance Armstrong, looking very content at the moment, sitting right there behind his teammates and hoping now that he can live up to the pressure, because this will mean his 37 years of age is going to come and tell on him. 62.8 kilometres to go. Lance Armstrong beginning to puff and blow here, but he hasn't lost any ground, and an awful lot of riders have, Paul. This is the first serious crack in the bunch.
It's the first serious crack, the first laying down of the law by Team Saxo Bank, who've obviously got themselves a very important plan here this afternoon. Thomas Vogler here coming off the back end of the group because of the pressure of Team Saxo Bank. That looked like Alexander Botcherov going backwards also. You can see a number of riders here, Phil, under difficulty, and that's a bit of a surprise to see Christophe Moreau going backwards. This is a move now by Liquigas.
Well, just looking here, and I'm sorry the pictures keep freezing. This is Pelazzotti, I think, going to try and dig again here now. But the peloton is becoming all of a sudden very, very select indeed. It was started by Saxo Bank, but I'm not just sure who's got control behind Pelazzotti just there. Other riders cracking off the back. This is the carnage now behind the race.
Well, that's the man, Jaroslav Popovic. He's done all of the pacemaking in the early part of this climb, and now that his job has been done, he's getting dispatched out of the back of the group.
Look at his face too, puffing and blowing. He doesn't want to go, but I don't think he's going to have much choice here. He's holding the pace he can. His team manager Brunel is alongside him, saying, come on, Pop, keep going, because once over the top, of course, there is a chance to come back. We almost forgotten about Linus Gerdemann, Paul, but he's been swept up by the juggernaut coming up behind. There they are.
Well, Pelazzotti is impressive on the front end of that group. Let's not forget, Phil, he's been in 2 long breakaways in the Tour. Sorry about the little bit of picture breakup, but that is because of the weather conditions here going through the Vosges. You can also see in that group Vincenzo Nibali for Team Liquigas, and also Roman Kreuziger. Liquigas are actually looking tactically rather strong.
The British flag's on the left of the road. 1 kilometre to go to the top now. Heinrich Hausler of Australia and Germany and Sylvain Chavanel are the 2 leaders here, but their lead is crumbling very quickly. They should get to the top of the mountain, though. This is the first time I think Armstrong has been really tested, Paul, and he looks as though he's up to it.
Well, he looks comfortable. He's not under any pressure at all. They're allowing Franco Pelazzotti to ride away. Now, this is a man who I reckon is nurturing some pretty good form here this afternoon. He may well not be in the position he'd like to be in the overall standings. He's 41st at 11.5 minutes, and that may well be why they've given him a certain amount of freedom. But expect, Phil, a reaction to come from the man who leads the King of the Mountains classification, Egoy Martinez.
Well, Pelazzotti said he was coming here for a podium place, but I thought he'd lost too much time. I still do, but he's now looking for the King of the Mountains. I think you're right. Anyway, it looks as though we've got riders joining him now. We need to get back into that bunch. It's difficult to pick out all of the riders in the racing capes just at the moment, but it is becoming a very selection as they climb. These are the leaders. Massive crowd as we come up towards the top of the Col de Plates of Wesel. It's not the last climb of the day. We have a third category col and a second category col before we run to the finish.
Well, just sitting on the back here, this is Kim Kirken, and he's just about to stay in contact with the juggernaut that you were talking about, sliding back there as well, number 14, Matty Lloyd, team helper for Cadel Evans. As we go through this group, you can see the pressure is really on.
Oh, David Miller's going well, but unfortunately it's the wrong man, because I don't see Christian van der Velde or Bradley Wiggins. I have seen Bradley Wiggins be dropped. Now a leg up here, and it looks as though the polka dot jersey is also beginning to struggle. Igor Martinez.
Well, he's under pressure. He was hoping to try and stay in contact with this leading group, but I think because of the pressure of the leading group, there are starting to be a large number of casualties. But still, the yellow jersey is present, not far away from the top of the climb now for Sylvain Chavanel and Heinrich Hausler. Hausler, better known really as a rider on the flatlands. Today he's riding over the top of the Tour de France in the front group.
And pretty strongly as well. They've lost Rubens Perez, which might be the end of the road for them, but no doubt they're going to make the top here. Probably be Chavanel who will go over the top in first place. Sergio Paolini is now setting the pace for Astana. They've regained control of that chase group, and they've got two strong men chasing, and Armstrong sitting in third wheel. That's behind though. Right now there's these two come up for maximum points on the top of the col. The points don't mean anything just now. They're not in the King of the Mountains really, and they're not in the sprints. They're out there purely for the glory of the day. But you've just got to keep a little eye on Chavanel. He started the day only 12 minutes behind the leader.
Yes, but the reason Chavanel's gone out on a long move like this today is to try and get himself a stage victory. And if he gets a stage victory, it'll be the best French performance in the Tour de France for something like 25 years.
Well, that means they'll notch up 4 stage wins, all with different riders. But that's a little way down the road, I think, Paul. It's inside 4 minutes, their gap now. You can hear the cars behind beeping, getting the crowds to step back, let the leaders come through. This is a massive crowd, even in inclement conditions like this. And they're cheering to keep warm, I would reckon. 3:53, it continues to fall down here. There's the sign at the top of the climb. 1,183 meters, it says. What a colourful sight.
Well, it is quite colourful, considering nearly everybody out there has got umbrellas and raincoats on. They've been up here for hours waiting for the Tour de France to come. There's the summit of the climb for the two leaders, but they've lost probably half of their advantage on the slopes of this climb. Now they've got a chance to try and consolidate, Phil, because this is also, bear in mind, a very tricky descent.
So Chavanel leads over Heinrich Hausler, and I know the folks back home in New South Wales will cheer him on. He went back to his native Germany, but he speaks English with a total Australian accent. He lived there for many, many years in the small city of Inverell. And so they claim him back there, and they're enjoying these pictures, I'm sure. Back to Liquigas. They put Franco Pelazzotti back under their wing, and it looks to me as though we've got Astolosha alongside. Armstrong never far from the front, never quite on it. His eyes staring vacantly right into the crowd, and just keeping his concentration and his rhythm. He's not a man in trouble here.
Well, at the back of the main group there, you can just see Luis Leon Sanchez over on the right-hand side. Tony Martin is in this group. I think the majority of the contenders have reported present and correct, and you can just see the yellow helmet there as an indication that the yellow jersey is still in this group. Ronaldo Nocentini.
Cadel Evans is riding right alongside Alberto Contador there, so they're all there at the moment, and Linus Gerdeman is paying for breaking away now.
Well, I had said that I didn't think that was tactically a very clever move to ride across a gap of around about 5 minutes, and he's paying for that acceleration there. The German flag out here this afternoon. Nibali on the front ahead of Franco Pelazzotti. Over on the left-hand side, you can just see a rider from Garmin Slipstream that looked like Christian van der Velde.
Conditions on the dizzy heights of 1,800 meters, as you can see. Visibility is going against us here. The car headlights are on, but we will come off this height at the moment. Hausler a little bit ahead here of Chavanel. Chavanel's called for a drink. And a quick word, where are they? How much have we got? Because he still has 61 kilometres to go to the finish. It's a long way with 2 hills in between.
I have to say, this is rather a nasty climb, Phil, because normally when you go through the King of the Mountains point, it drops down into the valley. Here, they've actually kept climbing up towards a further summit. They will then begin the descent, as there's a little acceleration coming here, as Euskaltel-Euskadi will try and take as many points away from Franco Pellizotti as possible in a hope of preserving the lead of their man Egoy Martinez. But I actually think Franco Pellizotti is riding too well.
Well, Pellizotti is looking very strong here. These are good scores too on the top of the mountains. If he gets the 3rd place up here, he'll be moving very close to within striking distance of Egoy Martinez. He's ridden like a champion. Armstrong hits the front now. He is allowing nobody any move here. Little kick by Lance as he sees towards the top of the climb. And it's a demonstration that the team may have lost Levi Leipheimer, but they can still ride with all their strength. A lesson to the others, I think.
Well, 1 or 2 people in the press this morning saying that Lance Armstrong, as a true champion, will notice his decline when he gets into the mountains. But he's looking to me to be one of the stronger riders in this group, Phil.
And right in his slipstream is Alberto Contador. The 2 leaders of Astana are coming up towards the top of the first really steep climb of the battle today in the mountains, the Platz of Arsel, and they are together. And there's an awful lot of boys in trouble back there. Contador comes up on the inside. This is just a sprint for the points, and Franco Pellizotti deserves that. He gets 3rd place at the top of the climb. Armstrong has come over, Paul, officially in 6th place at that climb.
Alongside his teammate Alberto Contador, you are not going to catch those 2 riders out here. You can see the damage done at the back here. It looks as if Tony Martin might be one of the casualties as well, but I think having only lost about 10 or 15 seconds, they should be able to catch up on the descent.
Well, I can't think of anybody. The only one I can't say I've seen, but I've no doubt is there, is Carlos Sastre, because I've seen everybody else. It's very difficult to nail them at the moment with their racing capes on. These are the 2 leaders now over the top of the climb. It's a plateau for a little while, then they plunge back down to the valley. Well, we've seen Lance Armstrong tested there, and he passed. A+, I would say. And he made sure, as he always does, to put himself on the front to show the boys that he's still very much in charge. Contador playing almost a gentleman, I think. He just watched Lance in front of him, but he was always there right behind him. The flags of Australia being waved there at Heinrich Hausler, a German who lives in Australia. The Platz of Arsel is behind us, but there's still 2 more to come. Plenty of more action yet.
It's stinging a little bit more than usual. Yeah, you'll get used to it.
The longer you keep your high-mileage car, the more it pays you back. Get Castrol GTX High Mileage. It helps engines last longer by fighting the main causes of engine failure.
I think a dime went up my nose. Yeah, it happens.
Don't change your car, change your oil to Castrol GTX High Mileage. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
My Impreza has a Subaru Boxer engine. It's perfectly balanced for performance and handling. I love that engine. And I love anyone else who loves a Subaru engine, too.
Impreza love knows no bounds. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Lease an Impreza for $179 per month or get 0% APR financing.
Get 20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-831-6881
or visit cash4gold.com.
Race ever, the Tour de France, and Versus covers over 2,100 miles for 23 days, on air and online. At Versus.com, get real-time results, Lance's daily video blog, and use the race tracker for GPS tracking, interactive maps, and rider profiles. The Tour de France, 24/7 at Versus.com.
Welcome back as we look at these rather wet pictures in high definition today. But what lovely pictures they are, full of action, huge people watching the two leaders in the Tour de France, Sylvain Chavanel and Heinrich Hausler. It has been the first battle lines drawn on the climb of the Col du Plate-Savassal. Armstrong has come through it as a strong man, so too has Contador. Just looking into the heart of the peloton, you can see the leader, Nocentini, having lunch on the far right there. He is very, very good. He's marked everything. Cadel Evans is here. Contador is here. Armstrong is here. Christian van der Velde is here. I can't think of anybody who's missed it up front.
Well, I think I saw another Garmin Slipstream helmet there, Phil, and maybe Bradley Wiggins has recovered, and he's in this group as well, and that would keep him high up in the overall classification. There is confirmation coming through on the computer. In fact, it was Alberto Contador who went across the top there, Phil, ahead of Armstrong in the group for 7th and 8th. But Pellizotti earned himself 10 points.
And in fact, Perez had not been caught. Well, our camera didn't show us that, so it was a bit further down the points. Now here's a counter-attack starting from the peloton here. Euskaltel-Euskadi trying to lay down some battle plans. It's probably Chiruka. At 2:55 is the gap.
Well, we've had incredible weather in the Tour de France since we left Monaco, apart from one bad day down into Barcelona. But that's all gone to the wall this afternoon because the temperature has plummeted 12 degrees Celsius over the top of this climb, which is not very much more than about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And with the chill factor on the descent, it's going to make it very cold.
Well, they're well wrapped up. They've got the long-fingered gloves on today. Had their open neck shirts on yesterday. This is an attack by Chiruka. Result at the top of the overall standings in the mountains. It's only 9 points the difference between Martinez and Pellizotti now, with Christoph Kern not scoring, sitting there with 59 in third place. So a 9-point difference that could definitely change shoulders tonight.
Well, there's a third and a second category climb still to come. There's a big acceleration coming behind, a little bit difficult to see in the confusion there. It looks like it might be Bryce Feliu once again, youngster on the Agri-Tubel team. He's a man who I think, Phil, we're going to see an awful lot of over the future. They're starting to talk about him as being a new Richard Virenque.
Well, Richard Virenque holds a number of records, wins in the King of the Mountains competition, set at 7. But just looking at these pictures, there are a lot of riders still willing to attack the bigger names of the Tour de France. And let's not forget, Paul, the second category climb being the last climb of the day, the points are double. So I'm sure Pellizotti has remembered that. 2:44 the gap just now, and Chiruka has got Brice Feliu right up with him. The two of them will try to work together. They won't initially be marked by the group behind, but that group is not very far behind.
No, you're looking at 10 seconds or so. Yes, there are 10 points normally for a second category climb, but as it is the final climb of the day, there's 20 points for the first guy to cross the finishing line, 18 and 16. And I'm sure Pellizotti has worked all of that out himself.
Absolutely. Very heavy rain up here. Most unpleasant part of the climb, I have to say, but we should ease a little bit as we start to drop down. You can see the wind across the top as well. We have to fight to keep our camera lens clear by the look of it. Even here on the plateau, the crowds are still there. The strong wind coming over behind them. Well, as we look down there on the roads, you won't see too much of our chalkbot Nike in these conditions today, I don't think. But to know more about this and how to get on board, log on and submit your own messages. You can do this at wearyellow.com, or you can go on to the homepage at Twitter and check it out there as well. Your message of encouragement and inspiration will finish up on the road surfaces of the Route du Tour de France. Two riders in the lead. They've no idea of the fight which is going on behind now as they try to re-establish a leader of the Tour de France. We'll see in a moment.
The relationship you have with your car isn't so different from your other relationships. Some burn hot and fast, but don't last very long. Some burn for a while, but don't throw much heat. And some smolder beautifully for a long time.
The award-winning Cadillac CTS sedan. And coming soon, the all-new CTS Sport Wagon.
Okay, at The General, it's really easy to buy auto insurance online. Just log on to thegeneral.com for an instant quote. You'll get a great low rate, a low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59. Don't get caught driving uninsured or paying for more insurance than you need. So, log on to thegeneral.com right now. Too big?
Just a little. For the best car insurance rates online, go to The General and save some time.
July 25th, heroes and villains, babes and robots, dark knights and Jedi knights. Everything awesome is happening at Comic-Con, and only G4 can get you inside.
It does not get any bigger than this right here.
We're there first with news and previews of the biggest blockbuster movies, plus G4's world broadcast exclusive of the Star Wars Spectacular panel event.
Comic-Con!
Comic-Con 09 Live, July 25th, only on G4.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Wow, sweet minivan.
That's minivan A. You.
It's raining! With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
While looking for his remote, Alex makes an unfortunate discovery. Oh, no. If Alex had Netflix, he'd never pay late fees.
And he could even watch some movies instantly on his TV.
Wait. There's no DVD in here.
What?
Sorry.
Take the drama out of renting.
Netflix, DVDs by mail, plus some movies instantly on your TV. Only $8.99 a month.
Well, we're back, and as you can see from the helicopter here, the mist is with us too. Now, don't forget, follow our tour tracker and head to versus.com. Live updates, fan chat, rider info, even Lance Armstrong's video blog. It's all there at versus.com. Enjoy that. Well, the Tour de France today, the weather has really closed in at the moment, but the riders haven't stopped racing at all. This is a battle today. There is Armstrong. So Armstrong looks good. It looks as though he's got Christian van der Velde upside him there as well. He's having a chat there with Andy Schleck. Two major rivals have hit each other there. Both answer with A+. And look at Fabian Cancellara here as well, Paul. That guy's something else.
He's a beast. He certainly is a beast. We saw him wear the yellow jersey in the early part of this race. So Saxo Bank got a lot of riders present in this group, and that announces to us, Phil, that this is going to be a very good race when we go into the Alps. Sylvain Chavanel, on the other hand, is not very good at going downhill. He cannot follow the sprinter Heinrich Hausler, who is extremely agile at going around these corners.
Yes, and Sylvain Chavanel not quite so confident on the way down. I can understand that, because those small light tyres weigh just, what, 600 grams less?
A lot less than that. But what's important on a day like this is not the weight of the tyre or the composition of the rubber. What is really very important is the tyre pressure. You have to make sure the tyres are not too hard on a day like this. And because everybody expected this bad weather, Phil, the mechanics will have had the tyre pressures down fairly low on a day like this, probably at around about 70 to 80 pounds per square inch. Look at that wind, and they're picking up a fairly serious tailwind.
They are. There's about 30 riders in this group here, very select riders. Can't think of anybody of importance in the Tour who's missed this group. So the pressure will come off. An opportunity perhaps for some of the chasing riders to rejoin, because they won't attack each other again now till they get probably onto the slopes, the Col de First Plan. Now once you top that, 21 kilometers to go, you're free to fly down home to Colmar.
Well, two teams here are highly represented in numbers. The team we're looking at here doing the pacemaking on the front, Team Astana, but also Team Saxo Bank, and difficult to get in there. I'm almost certain there's Jens Voigt making a bit of a recovery as well, because he's pulling himself back into the fold. And here is Martinez, the leader of the King of the Mountains, still the leader of the King of the Mountains, Phil, and he's got to battle over the next 2 sprint points. There's a third category to come and a second.
There's a big group coming back here. I think that was Pelazzotti just came in the red shorts as well. So there's a steady regrouping, just 1 or 2 riders getting up. That's to be expected today. Back with the leaders, and back Chavanel is with Heinrich Hausler as they continue their descent at 3:22 at the moment in front. But we should remember that 3:22 will now be based on the 2 chasers who are still coming after them, and that is Cheruke and Ferrieux, and a little bit further back to the peloton, I suspect. There's the happy-go-lucky faces of the 2, still affording a dream they can win.
Let's all paint the town red and white, black and brown. Watch the colors dry. They mix so well, it's no surprise. We are all in this together. Let's all build a home, gather up the friends you know. Somewhere we can go. We'll make it.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all, from Honda.
Watchmen, the director's cut on Blu-ray. Evil must be punished. With 24 minutes of new footage, it's the Watchmen you didn't see in theaters, including a unique walk behind the scenes with the director while the movie plays. Come to get me. By the director's cut on Blu-ray.
Adaptive friction extinguishers? And hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
I can't get a job because I don't have any skills.
Seen that before? Thought so. Are you ready to stop the vicious circle of no skills, no training, no money, and no future? Then call Anthem College right now at the number you see on your screen and get the training that can send your future into a circle of success.
I have the skills. I got the training. I have a great future.
Great future. Great future. Which circle are you living in?
Call Anthem College today at 1-800-698-1809. Start on the path to success.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. The fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday, July 26th at 5.
Welcome back. The dreary weather of the Tour de France isn't damping down the sparks that are flying down there today, because we still have 2 leaders, 2 chases, and an Armstrong group with Contador and all the other favourites in a pack of some 30 men. Well, look at the conditions here now, as Sylvain Chavanel clearly does not like going down hills here. He's allowed the German Heinrich Hausler his head. Heinrich has pushed on. He really needs Chavanel, even though it's only 47 kilometers to go.
Well, he does. I think they do need to stay together, but if he can pull himself a minute or a minute and a half advantage on the descent by not waiting for Sylvain Chavanel, that may well tip the scales to his advantage. He's a great talent, and I think this year, Phil, the change across the Team Cervelo test team really has allowed him to mature as a professional cyclist.
Well, we'll see how he goes as the descent continues here. I think Sylvain Chavanel, a little bit older than Heinrich, is thinking about that right now. Just taking the apex of the corner, trying not to lean over too far. Hammer the brakes on this one, because this is right round on him. Very difficult corner. Horrible feeling when you think you go in, you're not going to make the right angle coming out, and then kick out of the corners and get back up to speed. They're pulling away though, Paul.
They are pulling away because these two guys, and especially Heinrich Hausler, is taking the risks on the descent. He's understood what to do on a stage like this.
These are the two chasing rides we're looking at now. Log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Take part in our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Big prizes at stake, including a visit to the 2010 Tour de France next year. When you log on, you'll need to use today's code word, which is pursuit. And that's just about what we've got today here. 2-2 and about 40 riders in what's left of the peloton today. These boys are settling down again, Paul. They're waiting for the next step on the ladder before they go again.
Well, you might have noticed that Jaroslav Popovic was dropped just towards the summit of the climb, and he kept going. He kept the pressure on the last couple of kilometers of the climb, and the reason for that was because he knew he had to try and catch up with the rest of the guys on the descent. Franco Pellizotti, I think he's cruising here this afternoon, and he's looking to try and get himself the King of the Mountains lead at the end of the day, and it's completely possible, except for the fact that Egoy Martinez also managed to recover and catch back up on the descent.
Yeah, and that was the hard climb. The Col de First Plan they say is not quite as hard. It carries double points though, because it is the last big climb of the day, and that carries double points. So that's always an interest. Johan van der Berg is coming up here, getting himself back in the race, and it looks as though we've got I just can't see who it is. It's Kim Kirkendrop back. That's right, from Columbia HTC. He had a good ride last time he came into Colmar. Perhaps he'll try again today. I think he was fourth by memory the last time he finished downtown after he came over the Col de la Schlucht. Well, we're going to take another break, but the reason we're packing in the brakes right now is so we can give you a long stretch of commercial free towards the end of the day of racing. So I'm sure you'll all appreciate that. Let's take a break.
The Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance is here, and it's the best time to get some of the best deals. Get in now and get the Chrysler Town & Country with a generous cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. The trail-rated Jeep Grand Cherokee also comes with a cash allowance or 0% financing for 60 months. Or choose a hard-working all-new Dodge Ram truck with a cash allowance that's tough to beat. All with our best-in-the-business lifetime powertrain warranty. So hurry, come see the deals we've built for you at the Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep Summer Clearance.
Why are you in my yard?
Why are you in your yard? There's all sorts of super destinations. You could go to a jazz festival, stock car racing, ride a donkey in a canyon. You just gotta go. I got free Wi-Fi.
Want the good stuff for your home? Rent-A-Center puts that goal in easy reach. Get the top name brands you trust without credit checks. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Now that's something we can all use. A little assist with our goals.
Every question on there, you know, is very descriptive of yourself and what you're looking for.
eHarmony asked me things about myself that needed to be asked.
So I like the system. I like that it does the work for you. It really does.
You just got to take your time. You have to fill it out honestly.
I finished my questionnaire for eHarmony on September 6th, and I was matched up with Lee on October 2nd.
It all starts with the eHarmony questionnaire. Log on today and review your matches for free.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down and bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Miguel Angel Torres. Undefeated in 5 years. The best pound for pound in the world. Can undefeated Brian Bowles pose a threat? Ask his last 7 victims. Torres versus Bowles, live Sunday, August 9th, only on Versus.
for those of you just joining us, a wet day here in the Vosges Mountains. This is what's happened today. Three-man breakaway formed 143 kilometers out. Rubens Perez got dropped from them on the climb at 66 to go. Armstrong has set the pace at the head of a splitting peloton on the climbs, and the leaders are now 3:53 ahead of the main field. So that's the situation as we now look down here, Paul, at the rider who's doing all the work, Heinrich Hausler. He's an Australian where he spent most of his racing career, now lives in Germany. He's riding superb, but he's not what we're interested in. What we're interested in, Paul, is what's going to happen on the remaining 2 climbs.
Well, I think we had a little test came from Team Saxo Bank on that first climb there. They just wanted to put the pressure on the race and see what they could do, and they noticed that nobody showed any weakness at all. So therefore, I think they've turned off. They will now wait until we go up towards Verbier. I would take my hat off, Phil, to the yellow jersey, Ronaldo Nocentini, because he never really looked under any pressure on those climbs. The race now is really going to be a race, I think, today for the stage victory, and the advantage here is going to the German Aussie Heinrich Hausler, who's taken all kinds of risk on this descent to drop the Frenchman Sylvain Chavanel.
4 wins for him this year. And he is riding very strongly. He has the ability to hold them all off if he could. And did you mention he won the Aussie Road title at 12 years of age? Did you mention that?
Well, I knew that he'd won an Aussie title, but I didn't realise how old he was at the time.
12 years of age. He was discovered by the holidaying coach Oliver Muschweck, who lives in Germany. And he lives in Germany, and Oliver spotted him, thought this guy's got a bit of talent, and here he is now leading the Tour de France today. That's wonderful for him. And the big peloton behind. I think you're right, you know, Paul. They've tried their move. Everybody was up for it. They've all stayed together. And so we may not see them attack on that last climb, and Heinrich might win the day.
I can think there's only one man missed out on this split, and that was Denny Menchov. But even as we look down the road there, Phil, I can see a lot more riders starting to come back up to the main field. So even Menchov on a bad day like this may well just have had a chance of survival. Lone leader now, and this is Heinrich Hausler, and what a ride by him. They've already had a stage victory, and that goes onto the shoulders of Big Thor Hushovd.
Yep.
This man, normally regarded as a lead-out man for Hushovd, has been given a bit of a freedom on a mountain stage.
Only 39 kilometers to go, and again, if you're only just joining us today around the world, remember that Levi Leipheimer, who fell yesterday 2 kilometers out from the finish, found out overnight he'd broken his wrist. He didn't start today, so his 4th place has gone in the Tour de France, and he's on the Astana Team 2. So far they don't seem to have missed him, but of course all next week we're in the Alps and on Mont Ventoux. Maybe a different story then.
Well, if Sylvain Chavanel is still hovering at 20 seconds, I think tactically the best move would be for this man to wait for the Frenchman, because if it came down to a 2-man sprint, I would put all of my money on Heinrich Hausler to win the sprint, because that's his discipline of the sport. He is extremely good at that. And this man is extremely good as an individual time trialist. So the two of them working together have got a very good chance of survival, because I don't think the main field now, Phil, are going to chase.
Well, he's pulled back 3 seconds at the moment, Sylvain Chavanel. He must be a little bit annoyed with Heinrich Hausler for going away like this. The peloton's dropping back all of the time. They've gone back to 5 minutes now, so it could well be a winning gap. They won't make a move till the hills go up again. So on these roads, if they keep the pressure on, they will go away from that field. It could be a very interesting scenario, this.
It's just about to turn left here and start the next climb of the day, a very small climb, a 3rd category climb, the Col Banstein. And he's around that corner very nicely. You see the way this guy goes around the corners, even in the wet. And the reason for that is because he's a sprinter. He's a guy used to taking risks. He's used to going around corners very fast, and he's extremely agile on the bike.
In the same corner, there goes Sylvain Chavanel. You might not quite see what happened to Heinrich. Much more cautious there around that bend. A little bit afraid to straighten the bike up, I think. And so he's going to continue to lose time. These are the 2 chasers. It would be a different game if these 2 could catch up to Chavanel, and then they might well go back up to Heinrich Hausler.
Well, I think they're losing ground, actually, Phil. They've lost a fair amount of ground on the descent. They got as close as 2.5 minutes, and now they're 3 minutes behind the 2 separated leaders. And there's no pressure in the main field, and you can see this main field now is starting to swell with riders taking risks on the descent to pull themselves back into the race.
Yes, and they're very healthy building of the bunch there, and that's all because there wasn't one single fancy man in the Tour de France missed the strongman's climb of the Platzer Vassal. So They've shut down. Boys have come back when they thought they'd wave goodbye to the leaders for the day. Mark Cavendish, I don't think we'll see. He dropped off fairly early on the climb. He's still behind. He's got a few riders with him. His object is to get through these mountains, and tomorrow, though, could suit Mark Cavendish yet again.
Yeah, great flat finish on the run into Besançon tomorrow, but that is on the eve of what's going to be a serious rendezvous, and that is the climb, the mountaintop climb up to Verbier, the ski resort in Switzerland.
Well, certainly the 25-year-old is not having any bother holding a very, very good rhythm here. We're in the town of Lautenbach, and once we leave this town, we will start the climb. There's the board. It's only a third category climb. It's not long. More King of the Mountains points, of course, at the top.
2.1 kilometers in length. Not really very much at all. Once he's gone over the summit of that, there's another slight downhill before he starts the final climb of the day. And that is a little bit more difficult, Phil, because that is ranked as a second category climb, and that's the Col de First Plan.
Left-hand turn, there's the board denouncing the third category climb, the Col de Banstein. And this is Sylvain Chavanel, who was left on the descent of the previous climb. We're looking now at Sylvain Chavanel. He rides 21 seconds because he was left behind on the descent of the last climb by Heinrich Hausler. These two now are still ahead of a main field, which is getting bigger by the minute. I think it's probably 60 strong now, Paul.
Yes, it's swelling all the time, and that's an indication that they will not really, I think, chase these riders down in earnest. In the next couple of kilometers or so, Sylvain Chavanel really needs to put the hammer down, get his head into gear to try and catch back to Heinrich Hausler. The two of them working together will survive off the front end of the two-man chasing group and the front end of the peloton, which is fading back now, Phil, to 5.5 minutes. Chavanel, though, is also losing ground on Heinrich Hausler.
Well, this guy's hit the hill. He looks like he's sprinting up it at the moment. He's not climbing it, he's just racing it, and he's very, very strong. He's clearly feeling on a hot day now, taking all the pressure off his team, by the way. Carlos Sastre, last year's winner, who joined the team this year. It's a new team on the block, and he now is searching their second stage win of the Tour.
Turned professional in 2005, Heinrich Hausler for Gerolsteiner, a German squad. He rode for them for 4 years before moving across. Chavanel is slowly but surely losing time. You know, the sad thing about Chavanel, Phil, he's been the national time trial champion of France for 3 years in a row, and this year he went there expecting to win the title, and he was beaten by almost an unknown rider, a mountain biker who thought, well, I'll have a crack at the time trial championships, and he beat Chavanel.
That's right. He did, and he's not even in the Pro Tour team like Chavanel is. I think Chavanel will be joined by those two chasers now. The question of whether he can hang on to them before we get on to the first plan. Last climb of the day. They'll be up there with him by then. I feel certain of that. Chavanel is not enjoying this. He's trying to find a rhythm on the climb, and it's not there, and Hausler is dancing up it.
Well, Hausler really, I think he took the advantage of the descent because of his incredible agile ability going around those corners, and the fact that he probably had hardly any fear at all. And he's riding on one of those days, a very special day, where he feels that he can't do anything wrong. He knows that it's uphill and down dale over the next 35 kilometers, and that, I think, was what he'll do, Phil. He'll really try and hurt himself on the climbs, because he knows on the descent he's not going to lose anything to the main field. Such a good descender he is.
When he gets to the top, he's at 35 kilometers to go, and so he's not far away from it now, and he's putting quite a little bit of time into Chavanel on the climb. He's now back 35 seconds, Sylvain. So Heinrich is now committed. It's win or lose the lot today. Just made a nice beeline to the left-hand side of the road for the shortest way round. Climbing there on elliptical chaining. I'm not sure it was on the top or not. Couldn't quite tell you, but he's coming into the last third of a mile up to the summit here, so he'll get the points on this third category climb, which he's not at all interested in. There's also a prize in cash as well. And the distance is the top of the time, the line, and it's 35 kilometers to go. And then he's on to the climb of the Col de First Plan, just after, again, a short descent here. The Col de First Plan is a second category climb, so it's a bit harder and a little bit longer. It's an 8.4 kilometer climb. That's a 5-mile climb coming up after this. The next climb, Paul, is a 5 miles climb, or 8.4 kilometer climb, which will finish this off, and it's going to be a launching pad possibly for someone in the Armstrong group, perhaps not one of the contenders to go.
Well, I'm surprised here, Phil, looking at Sylvain Chavanel, because he's a tough bike rider, and I thought he had a very good start to the season with being an integral part of the victories of his team Quick-Step in Paris-Roubaix and the Tour of Flanders. And now he just seems to have cracked when I would have put him as a very strong rider. Over the top of the climb for Heinrich Hausler, a bit more respite as he picks up the descent once again.
And he's 3/4 of a minute now in front of Sylvain Chavanel. He was 20 seconds at the bottom of the climb. So Chavanel is on his way back towards the field, I think, right now.
Well, it looks like a broken man here. He certainly can't find any rhythm at all.
Well, he's certainly got his shoulders rocking and rolling, which is not a good sign. In and out of the saddle, trying to find a little rhythm. It's not there just now. He's going to be joined by those two riders chasing from the back, that's for sure. That means that Ahmet Chiruka and Bryce Feylieu are on the way up towards him. He might find himself if they catch him. Well, as he goes over the top, the field behind is regrouping, and all of the major contenders in the Tour de France, quite honestly, are back together in the big field today. We'll take a break. See you in a moment.
Whether you're powering down the asphalt in a Cervelo S2 or a Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon, you're sure to get that rush. Now imagine the rush you could feel at the final stage of the Tour de France with the Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Just watch the Tour de France on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to Versus.com/rideofyourlife to enter. You could win a Cervelo S2 and a VIP trip to Paris to watch the 2010 Tour. The Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, and watch the Tour de France right here on Versus.
My name is Wes Birmingham, Atlanta, Georgia.
Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute.
We got construction on 75, 285, I-20, 30 miles, 2 hours. There's nothing I love about traffic. Nothing. Gotta be killing my engine.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State. Real, durable.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people! The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click.
Across the nation, elderly, disabled, and other families in need live in unsafe homes because they can't afford crucial repairs. Rebuilding Together is their best hope.
Rebuilding Together's purpose is to preserve affordable home ownership for our nation's millions of low-income homeowners.
Each year, we repair over 10,000 homes, making them safe and more energy efficient at no cost to the owner. Our work stabilizes neighborhoods and revitalizes communities. Learn how to impact your community at rebuildingtogether.org.
This is our Trek area view today. One of the many churches, Saint Barthélemy, near the town of Mühlbach-sur-Munster. And it looks a beautiful church, it does as well. And I hope you're enjoying our pictures there in high definition. We're just going back to the leaders. It's over the top. These are the chasers. We've seen Hausler and Chavanel go over. And not surprisingly, Chiruka has taken a 3rd place away from Feylieu. Well, that could have been worked out, Paul. I think it's the job of the Euskaltel riders to take the points away from Feylieu. But even so, Feylieu has scored on that with a 4th place. It's only the first 4 over the top of the Benstein.
Yeah, just a single point, but a single point at the end of 3 weeks could be the difference between winning or losing in a competition like that. I got to take my hat off to this guy, Phil. This is a guy who normally we regard as being a sprinter, but here he's taken advantage of the downhill part of the course to open up a gap over the man who he was with, Sylvain Chavanel, and he's now a minute in front of the Frenchman, 4 minutes in front of the two chasers, and 6.5 minutes in front of the main field. He's got to try and get his head around the fact that he's got to ride a very long 30-kilometer individual time trial, but I reckon he's got the makings of the victory this afternoon. I don't see anybody in the chasers who's got the power to chase him down, and the main field don't have any reason to chase him down.
That's right. Sherwen and Vittel might well. It's a bit slippery over those cobblestones. He takes it very wisely, very cautiously, as he now goes on to the last climb of the day. The Col de First Plan, 8.4 kilometers to the top. Heinrich Hausler started with a lead of 6.5 minutes over the main field. He knows if he gets to the top of this with anything like 4 minutes, he's got just 21 kilometers downhill to the line.
Well, I'd actually say if he gets to the top with 2 minutes, he's got a very good chance of winning, because it's downhill pretty much all the way to the finish, and he will have the advantage of the descent not to lose any time. Chavanel looks to have recovered a fraction. I think he just hit the wall and went through a bad patch, and he can see a stage victory in the Tour de France here disappearing away from him, but he's got to try and pull back a minute on the flying Aussie German. Are we going to call him Aussie, or are we going to call him German?
Well, I know that people in Inverell calling him an Aussie and will be shouting for him right now if he wins the stage to go down as a win for Australia, but of course he is German. It's his nationality, and he does live in Germany, and he's racing towards Germany right now. It's his third Tour de France, by the way. His first one was 2007, 129th. 2008, he finished 124. Now watch the left hand of Sylvain, because those cobblestones look deadly right now. And he's being slowed by the policeman, who also is well aware what those cobblestones do to a small bicycle wheel. Now Chavanel is on the climb. I just can't believe he'll hold off now Vittel and Sherwen.
Well, the main field coming over the summit of the climb there at 6 minutes and 38 seconds. They have no real reason to chase anybody down who's in that leading group. Possibly Chavanel, who started the day 12 minutes behind in the overall standings, but they're not really concerned, I don't think, in Chavanel as a serious contender for the overall victory.
Yes, they've had the moments. They split off to a group of 30, but not one of the heads of state missed it. So what was the point of carrying on the pressure? They were all there. This has gone back to the man who might have found the race swing in his direction beneath the rain of the mountains here in the Alsatian region. Heinrich Hausler has built now 1:14 on Chavanel, 4:21 on the two chasers, and over 6 minutes, nearly 7 now on the bunch. Well, we've been over 2 climbs today, Paul, already. The Col de la Schlucht didn't. That caused a little bit of a ripple, not much. Col de Platzewiesel caused a big split. Now it's resulted in the chase and the big bunch behind.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the final climb of the day, the Col of the First Plan. And the Col de First Plan, 5.2 miles of racing, 5.4% in the gradient. That's its average. And it really climbs up to around about 2,500 feet. Not really difficult, but at the end of a long, wet day in the saddle, it really does start to make the legs sting. That's the main field containing all of the favourites. The only man put in difficulty on the big first category climb of the day was Denny Menchoff, but I reckon, Phil, even he may have recovered.
Maybe. We haven't seen Denny Menchoff really the whole tour, except when he fell off in the team time trial. Well, there is Heinrich Hausler heading towards the end. We'll be on the big climb coming back, and we'll follow them up that. We'll take a break.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
Lowe's has just been named 2009 Energy Star Retail Partner of the Year. With an Energy Star washing machine, you'll save roughly enough for 16 rounds of golf, 94 movie tickets, or 3,382 text messages.
Cool. Come to Lowe's first for Energy Star appliances.
The hotter the hot, the colder the cold, the greater the demand, the more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Only at AutoZone. When
golf's oldest major returns to historic Turnberry, Golf Channel will have it covered. The Open Championship. Follow Padraig Harrington's quest to three-peat at Turnberry against the world's best all week long during Live from the Open Championship on Golf Channel. Nobody covers golf's major championships like Golf Channel. Open Championship Week. All this week on Golf Channel.
There are moments in life when there are no limits, no boundaries, no walls. That the rules of gravity just don't apply. Because there is no statute of limitations on greatness.
Wow, sweet minivan. Woo.
That's minivan A to you.
It's raining! With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
There's never been a better time to ride off with an incredible deal at the Yamaha Model Year-End Sales Event. With huge incentives on a wide selection of Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, and Rhino side-by-sides. So see your Yamaha dealer today before time runs out. Now get up to $1,000 customer cash on select models, plus low monthly payments on every Yamaha.
Welcome back, and don't forget our Road ID Tour Challenge, Map My Ride, the Tour de France on Versys. Sign up for the Versys Road ID Tour Challenge and you could win over 300 great prizes, including 3 bikes, one each from Kyoto, Cervelo and Parley. The Tour de France is always at Versys.com. MapMyRide.com is where you can go to check on that one. Now let's get back to the action. The peloton are about to seek out the start of the climb of the Col du First Plan. Some kilometers ahead is Heinrich Hausler as he continues to ride. This will be a 5-kilometer sign. It is. So he's done 3.5 kilometers on this climb and he's riding away from the pack. He is having the ride of his life right now. Nobody catching him, including this rider coming through now, Sylvain Chavanel. He is on the climb. Chiruka and Feliu are on the climb. The peloton about to hit it. 7:35, Paul. I can see the folks in Inverell and in Germany jumping with joy. I can't see a gap of 7:35 being shut down.
And I can't see a gap of 1:44 being bridged by this man either. Chavanel, as they say in the cycling jargon, he's pedaling in squares. He's not pedaling fluidly, he's not pedaling comfortably, and he's actually going backwards with every pedal stroke. And he may well have a hard time surviving off the front of the 2 riders who are chasing him.
This is the tricky turn here. The gendarme will have his arm aching tonight. He's been waving that arm for everybody as they make the left turn onto the first plan, because those are cobblestones and glacial. The peloton is taking their time here. It is built steadily. All of the challenges are here. A little bit of effort at the front. Looks like Popovic is trying to say anybody coming out to play. And remember, though, that the yellow jersey, Paul, of Rinaldo Nocentini, under pressure, never looked like cracking on the climb. And I think now, unless somebody makes a big move here, they're going to let him stay in yellow for another day.
And that other day may well stretch to all the way to the summit in Verbier. They're pulling the cars out behind Heinrich Hausler, but those are just the VIP cars. He has gone over all of the climbs of the day. It started off with a 3rd category, a 2nd, a 1st, another 3rd, and he's on the final climb of the day now, the Col du First Plan. It's a 2nd category climb, and over the summit he could almost see the finish line, Phil, if he had a good pair of binoculars.
Well, this climb was 8.4 kilometers. Heinrich's coming up 4 kilometers from the top now. 722 meters, so it's not a hard climb, but it's 2nd category, double points because it's the last 2nd category of the day, or the last high mountain of the day. There's 5 kilometers to go now at 2 minutes 2 seconds the gap for Chavanel. Chavanel, I think, has recovered as Heinrich has gone under 25 kilometers from the finish. Now there's an inspiration. He knows the last 21 basically are downhill and fast and flat into the finish. 4 kilometers of pain, and the victory will be his.
Looked into the television camera lens.
He's listening to our commentary.
He must obviously be listening to the good things we're saying about him here this afternoon. There's a little bit of a dig at the back, though.
Interesting. This is another tester coming.
This is I presume this is a Silence Lotto rider. Hard to see through the racing capes this afternoon. Maybe setting something up for Cadel Evans.
Well, I wonder if Cadel will try a cheeky move on this climb. A lot of people thought Cadel would have tried a move on the Col de Platzervassel, but in fairness, the tempo there was so quick, there was no chance of breaking away. Chris Sorensen is in this group, by the way, checking his heart rate now. It's up to 143 beats a minute. He's pushing out 256 watts in power.
Well, starting to get a little bit grippy there, but control at the front end of the main field after that flurry of an acceleration. Once again goes over to Team Astana. They are riding this race, Phil, already as if they were the leaders of the bike race before we head into the Alps.
But had the racing capes on virtually all day today. Lance Armstrong takes up his typical position here behind his teammates in the black top and his yellow helmet, and sits in third place to remind everybody, as he did in the grand old days when he won the Tour 7 times, I'm the best and I'm sitting right where you can see me, boys.
Well, so far nobody has ruffled Lance Armstrong or Alberto Contador at all, and if they want to win this race, they're certainly going to have to do something. But Lotto here are looking for something very special.
Well, this is a launch and attack here now, and I think it's Jurgen van den Broek who's made the move. He's the softener usually for Cadel Evans, and it's a good move now. Is anybody going to go for him? The Astana riders have not lifted the tempo, so he might pull away here. There will be a reaction, I feel.
Well, just looking at the face of that rider and the skinny legs that he's got, I think it may well be Charlie Wegelius trying to get off the front. He is a very good climber. He's got himself about 50 meters. This could be the start of an attempt for a launch pad for Cadel Evans. Bear in mind that if Evans goes over the top here of this climb, Phil, with a 20-30 second advantage, he's a very good descender.
Well, he might start to eat inroads into the chasers, but I can't see him catching up with Heinrich Hausler now. This is back to second place on the road, and there's no doubt that Sylvain Chavanel is just wanting the top of this climb. He really has suffered. His eyes are stinging now as the rain washes the sweat. At 5 kilometers to go, this is the race to the top of the mountain for third and fourth place. And this is Chiruka here, who started the reaction and is picked up by Bryce Fairlew. Anyway, don't forget, final announcement, log on to versus.com/ride of your life and attempt to win a trip to the Tour next year, maybe a Cervelo S2 bicycle, or even a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey signed by us in the commentary team. The word you need to log on today is pursuit. Well, it looks as though Charlie Wegelius, he started to dance away, but I think the music just stopped. Charlie Wegelius here is on top of the saddle, but the peloton are holding him in the gun sights here. There's still 4 riders ahead, but the one way out front by 7.5 minutes is Heinrich Hausler here for Cervelo, and I don't think anybody's going to catch him. We're waiting for somebody in this pack, Paul, to launch an attack.
Well, they're all obviously a little bit intimidated by the power of Lance Armstrong and Alberto Contador. Probably feel they're going to have to wait until they go up to the slopes of Verbier, but this man is doing, I would have to say, the ride of his life, because Heinrich Hausler's got 2.25 minutes advantage over the second place rider on the road, Sylvain Chavanel, 4.5 minutes over the 2 chasers, and almost 7.5 minutes over the main field containing all of the heads of state of the sport of professional cycling.
Well, we're looking at the rear of the rear group here. Now, this is a problem here. This is Andy Schleck as he comes back to a halt. He's got his flat tyres. He's taking a wheel. He looks like he's taking a bike here, Paul.
No panic, you see. He didn't
Quick
panic.
bike change.
Did you see the way he got off the machine there? He obviously has done a little bit of cyclocross during the winter months. Pulled over to the side of the road, took 1 foot out, ready to stop. He'd obviously communicated with the team manager that the best thing to do in a situation like this was to change the bike quickly. Teammates 1 and 2 stopping to pace him back into the main field. Very quickly they will be back onto the tail end of the group.
And he rides over the Livestrong chalk block there, which is many signs of encouragement. Couldn't happen at a better place there to get Andy Schleck back into the action. That was an absolute premeditated, brilliant bike change. Lost no time at all. The team are all told. Now, this was to be a day when the race radios were to be banned. If that had been the case right now, these boys would not have known about that problem. So 4 guys now trying to pull him back into the action. I don't think they'll have a problem here. Don't forget, we're on the last climb of the day. The Col de First plan still out in front. Heinrich Hausler. Chavanel chases at 2 minutes 45. There are 2 pursuers, Feliu and Chiruka at 4:46. 7:42 to the field. All of the fancied riders are here, and because of that, nobody is trying to make a move.
Well, Phil, just doing a couple of checks there, and it's the rider Bryce Feliu is not far away from starting to tickle a threat to the yellow jersey, because he started the day in 25th place at 4 minutes and 26 seconds, and he's 3 minutes and 16 seconds ahead of this group with Lance Armstrong. So that's rather an interesting little move by the young 23-year-old.
You better get your pen and pencil out at the finish line, Paul, because this could be the clever tactic. It should really be up to the team now of Team AG2R for the yellow jersey of Nocentini to lift the pace and stop this guy taking the yellow away from them. Armstrong would be absolutely delighted, as would Contador, if they were to move that jersey onto the shoulders of a young Frenchman who they knew couldn't control the race into the mountains.
Well, if you think this is an easy climb, you better ask Sebastian Langer here, who's just going backwards off the tail end of the group because of, again, the pressure coming from Team Astana. Now, I would think if I was Johan Brunel now and I was trying to do the calculations, I would in fact ask my guys to turn off the pacemaking and put a little bit more pressure onto the shoulders of AG2R, because the leader, Rinaldo Nocentini, now is only about a minute away from losing his overall lead to Bryce Feliu.
Well, all the balls are dropping into the right holes, that's for sure, for Heinrich Hausler, because the in-fight is thinking long-term to Paris. This is the man who might be doing enough to pull on the maillot jaune. He's got a problem here. He may well have a problem, because Chiruka has just launched an incredible attack, and I think Feliu might have a problem at the same time.
Well, Feliu there, I wasn't able to stay on the wheel of Chiruka. Don't forget, Chiruka is a very good climber from the small Euskaltel-Euskadi squad. He's dancing on the pedals as he makes his way through the crowd here, and the important thing for him is to keep eating away at the points over the top of these King of the Mountains pot spots to make sure that his man, Egoy Martinez, stays at the lead of that competition for a couple more days.
Well, he's flying up the mountain for what would be 3rd over the top here. He's only just over a kilometre from the summit. But the way Feliu put his hand up, I wasn't so sure he didn't have a problem at the same time. But it went by too quick for us.
Well, his teammate will be up alongside, his team car will be up alongside him to give him a spare wheel as quickly as possible. Bradley Wiggins is in this group. I just noticed David Miller has now come to the front on the right-hand side there to assist in the pacemaking with Team Astana.
Well, Miller again is having a good day in high mountains. Like Bradley Wiggins, he's having a good day in the Tour de France every day right now. So as we look at the faces of the peloton here again, Lance Armstrong rides at the front, but as we get towards the top, Heinrich Hausler is doing well. This man is losing ground. The race is splitting up, but Heinrich Hausler, I think, is heading for victory. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back to see the peloton over the top.
Wow. Wow. It's the wow sale.
Get your wow at Trek dealers. Wow prices on bikes. Wow savings on accessories and gear. Save big now through the end of the tour and win.
Win Lance's bike.
Win my bike. You can win my bike and other great Trek prizes.
Scratch and win every day online or at your local dealer.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Every day.
Save big. Win big now. July 17th through the 26th at Trek dealers. Get your wow.
Hamels looks toward home. The pitch. He walks him.
Pounding the corner. Get him to chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no. Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New era. Make the majors or buy one at the store.
I'm not waiting till my cholesterol's an emergency, so I eat better, move more, and take garlic every day.
Garlic's clinically proven ingredient maintains healthy cholesterol safely and naturally.
Listen to your doctor.
Eat right, exercise, Garlic.
I don't feel my age, and I don't want my skin to show it.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring Lotion. Moisturizers, vitamins, and restoring CoQ10 help skin renew itself.
Here's the skin I remember.
Gold Bond Ultimate Restoring.
This stuff really works.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV.
It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
7 races left, and they're all on Versus. The fastest drivers on the planet are on the final laps to the championship when IndyCar returns to Versus. Sunday, July 26th at 5.
Don't forget, if you're not already playing, jump on board at Versus.com and take part in our Fantasy Cycling Challenge. Name your team and see how you get on throughout the daily stages. That's Fantasy Cycling Challenge at Versus.com. Back to the race. He's slowing down a little bit now. He looks as though he's struggling, but he hasn't got far to go to the top of the climb. This is Heinrich Hausler ahead alone today. Huge crowd on the climb. It is beginning to look a little bit wary now, but he'll take a fillip in a minute when he sees the top of the climb. The Japanese flaggers come to the Tour de France now. They have 2 cyclists in the race this year.
Well, big crowd now, Phil, waiting to see who's going to be the first over the top of the climb. Well, I don't think there is any doubt at all it's going to be the man in the white jersey of Cervelo Test Team. He is now just about to lead all of the climbs on today's stage behind him as he summits the final climb of the day, the Col de First Plan. And this man is in the first plan of our images this afternoon as he goes over the top, and he faces up now to just inside of 20 kilometers to go to the finish.
Well, he'll tip now, and he'll race right off the hills of the Alsace all around him. And he'll race down towards Colmar now. Oh, it's hurt these last few climbs. I think the mountain suddenly bit back on him, but he knows once over the top, slip those gears up and go for goal, because he's got time in hand. 4 minutes 8 seconds over Ahmet Taruka, who has left Brice Feliu, who is riding at 4:51. The peloton at 7.5 minutes.
Well, the other man chasing is Sylvain Chavanel, and he's still looking for around about 4 minutes himself, Phil. He's completely and utterly blown this afternoon, and he may well lose any position for finishing 3rd or 4th on the stage. There's the official 20 kilometers to go now for this man at the front, Heinrich Hausler. He doesn't really need to take too many risks going around these corners, Phil, because all he's got to think about is the last 10 kilometers running into Colmar.
A kilometer for Ahmet Taruka. He might well see just in that yellow car will be the climbing Sylvain Chavanel. So Taruka is heading up to claim 2nd if he can, and he's driving on this climb. He's realized there's a rider in front. He might not know that in fact it is just one man. He might think they're both there.
Well, just around the corner there, that is the team car that should be following Sylvain Chavanel, who's still holding on to 2nd position on the climb. This man is looking for 3rd. This man is looking to survive in 4th. At one stage, he was almost becoming a threat to the lead of this race in 25th place at the start of the day, looking for 4.5 minutes. He's currently 2.5 minutes in front of the main field, but I think youthful enthusiasm has gone against him.
I have a feeling that Taruka's going to come back here to the side of Chavanel before the summit. He has such a power of acceleration. Over the top of the climb has gone the leader. And meanwhile, the yellow jersey now playing for all to see. Doesn't look like a man in trouble at all. He's going to feel a very relieved man today when they hit him hard on the big climb of the Platzervarsel. He didn't crack at all, never looked like cracking, and there's the catch. So now he's going to be 2nd over the top and free to fly. It's not over yet, but he's saying, come on, get my wheel, go with me. Well, I don't think Sylvain has got any strength left in those legs.
Well, this is very much a situation, Phil, where you go at bridge to engine room, more power, but there is no power for Sylvain Chavanel this afternoon. This is the kind of thing that can happen on a nasty day through the mountains, especially when the bad weather comes down. You don't feed properly, you don't keep yourself topped up with energy, and it's a question of boom, boom, and out go the lights.
Well, just watching here now, this man here dancing on the pedals, heading up towards second place. We saw Mark Cavendish, of course, and a number of sprinters, including Tom Bonin, slip off the back on the big climb of the Col de Platz of Varsel. They'll be safe today. They'll get in. They'll be in the autobus of riders riding home. Live to fight another day. Their only concern is to beat the time limit, which is imposed by the average speed and the time of the winner of the day. Strange enough, it'd be a sprinter, Heinrich Hausler, who is looking like the winner now. But they'll make it today. And so that's the plan. This is now Sherwen. This is Bryce Felleux. He's riding at about 5 minutes behind. Been dropped, of course, by Chiruka.
Well, I don't really know what happened to him because he was riding very comfortably, but mind you, the way this guy is going up the hill, it's probably very hard to stay on his wheel. He's a very aggressive bike rider. He's eating into the advantage of Heinrich Hausler, but not by very much. He's going to go over the summit at around about 3 minutes and 40-something seconds, and he'll line himself up also for 20.5 kilometers to go to the finish.
Well, this youngster in his first Tour de France was voted the most aggressive rider of the race a couple of years ago now, and he still rides with the same show of aggression. He's attacked a lot over the last 2 weeks of the Tour de France, so he deserves a place at the finish today, that's for sure.
Riding up at the front of the back of the group, interesting to see that Matteo Tossato, also much regarded as a lead-out man for Tom Bonin, has managed to get himself into this group. That's Andreas Kloden over on the right-hand side with the light blue racing cape on. Heimar Zubelja in the dark blue racing cape. The yellow jersey now visible pretty much for the first time this afternoon as the racing capes are just about to come off.
Yes, and his team, AG2R, have taken control of that bunch. That's a sure sign now. There's nobody coming out of that bunch on the attack. They're going home to Colmar all together. Same standings tonight for sure. Nobody missing from that group. This is the battle here of Bryce Felleux. He's got to catch up with the boy that just left him. He might do it if he can descend pretty quickly. He can certainly climb well.
He might also catch up to Sylvain Chavanel, who currently is lying in third place on the road and probably not too far ahead of Bryce Felleux, who seems to have picked up his pedalling action once again. I say this kid is going to be pretty impressive in the years to come. He'll get himself some points as well for that position there, fourth over the top of that climb. He's looking for 5 minutes, though, on Heinrich Hausler.
Yes, he's done enough to climb up into third place in the King of the Mountains now. Double points on the second category climb today as they race home to the finish. No more hills, only downhills. Hausler now is going to drive. We've seen his skill going down mountains. He showed us that in the rain coming off the previous col. So he's going to make time now. And I don't think Chiruka will have this man's strength on the downhill and flat.
No, I think once he gets to the bottom of this climb, this man here has just got about 10 kilometers to go. Then he shouldn't have any difficulty at all holding on to a 3.5-minute advantage over Ahmet Chiruka. But he really is taking all kinds of risks. That's a very precarious aerodynamic position he's getting himself into. That's almost the tuck position of a downhill skier.
Heinrich Hausler has just passed under 15 kilometers to go. His gap on the peloton just towards the end has been shut down that little bit because they've climbed it better. He was blowing towards the top. They're now at 6 minutes and 36 seconds. And we're looking at Felleux at 5 minutes 8. So Felleux now is only just over 1.5 minutes, just on 1.5 minutes ahead of the peloton. They might yet bring him back to heel.
Well, Pelazzotti here looking for points as they come up to the top of the climb. I can't see Igor Martinez. There he is, just trying to survive. Pelazzotti here, Phil, is a man possessed with trying to get the lead in the King of the Mountains. He gets maximum points there from the main field. 5th for him, but they're double points as well.
Yes, now we'll have to do a quick calculation. It might be enough to take the overall lead today. He didn't score, though, on the third category climb, and it might have needed to have scored on the third category climb. And it looks as though the polka dot of Martinez there didn't matter. So he's got 12 points. We've just checked in the book. That 12 points, in my reckoning, Paul, is enough to give him the lead tonight in the King of the Mountains. So, as we watch now, Heinrich Hausler go for gold. He's 14 kilometers from the line. The peloton are a long way behind at over 6 minutes.
Well, Heinrich Hausler now, to put the race situation into perspective, is looking at 3 minutes 43 seconds ahead of Ahmet Chiruka, second place rider on the road. Is somewhere in third position, I'm not quite sure of his time, is Sylvain Chavanel, and at 5 minutes is Bryce Felleux.
You just have to watch those rather dicey railroad tracks there at an obtuse angle. Heinrich Hausler is heading home, but these roads are absolutely treacherous here. He's got to be careful on these left-handers. There's the scene at the finish. The caravan is in. Next will be the race itself. We'll be there with you after the break.
We're just looking for someone to date. We were looking for someone to spend the rest of our life with.
It's one of the most important decisions in your life, and you don't just want to leave it to chance.
If you're ready to meet the love of your life, try eHarmony. At eHarmony, we thoroughly pre-screen your matches for you based on 29 dimensions of deep, meaningful compatibility, like intellect, values, and character.
We had so much in common. It was natural.
Experience the eHarmony difference for yourself. Review all your matches for free at eHarmony.com.
I gotta get my car insured. Just point and click, point and click, point and click, point and click.
When you need auto insurance right now, log on to thegeneral.com. You'll get an instant quote with no personal information required and a down payment as low as $59. You can also print your own proof of insurance form, all online in just a few minutes.
Piece of cake.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
Tough. Ain't that $2 steak?
It's just my uptown apartment. My downtown apartment is still being renovated to go green.
No way.
Yeah.
Need a moment?
Oh no! I've been robbed! Who would have done such a thing?
And they trashed your place.
That is what happened.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's really sad.
When you need a moment, chew it over with Twix.
Yes.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back. Because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
We're looking down on the beautiful part of the Alsace area of France here. We're running almost to the borders of Germany today, and one man is running away with it. He is from Germany, though he brought up mainly in Australia, and that's Heinrich Hausler. He was second in the Great Classic from Milan to San Remo, which was a Sprinters Classic. He's shown us today he's a great gambler as well. He races up to the 10 kilometers to go banner now. Heinrich Hausler is being chased by a couple of riders, all singly on the road. The peloton has pulled back about a minute on him, but that's not enough.
That's not going to be enough. It's going to take him about 13 minutes, Phil, to cover this last 10 kilometers of racing, and you can't really pull back that much time over the last few kilometers of a race like this, especially when you look at the pedaling style he's got now. He's still looking fairly comfortable. He's rock solid on the top end of his handlebars, and you can see actually that's quite an interesting front chainring he's got there. It's one of the oval chainrings, and that was something that was brought into the sport by the American Bobby Julich.
Well, it's obviously working to good effect today for Heinrich Hausler. Overall, he's not in the competition. He's 55 minutes behind. On the road, he's pulling back 6 at the moment, so he'll be 49 behind by the look of it. That doesn't matter. A stage win is a big result.
Just to expand a bit on that elliptical chainring that he's got, the reason for having an elliptical chainring, there's something called top dead center, where it's very difficult to get the pedal over the top of your pedaling action, and by having an elliptical chainring, apparently that actually makes it easier for the pedals to go around.
Looking at the main pack here, which is still rather big, they reduced it to 30 on the first category climb. It swelled a little bit. There's been no serious moves since. The yellow jersey of Nociantini, he'll be in yellow again tonight now, and all of his challengers will again come to the finish holding the same positions, because there's been no time gains in that pack today. But boy, it's made the Alps even more interesting now.
It certainly has. We're going to have a big showdown there. We had the little acceleration coming. Team Saxo Bank again, I think, Phil, putting down a little hors d'oeuvre of a sign of things to come once we come into the Alps. They've got Nicky Sorensen. They've already got Jens Voigt ready to take over the pacemaking, and as well as that, it was as if Andy Schleck was just taunting the others to say, guys, when I get into the Alps, I'm going to give you a good trouncing.
Well, I guess they feel the rain has at least gone off enough to strip off, ready for the finish now. So the numbers are spotted on the photo finish equipment. The blue jerseys of Astana, minus Levi Leipheimer, a non-starter, a broken wrist today, are now looking to take this race to the finish. And there's nowhere else left now for anybody to attack the overall leaders. And as a result, it's creeping up towards 7 minutes with 8 kilometers to go.
Well, there's a little bit of pressure in the main field, because just checking on the computer, Brian Van Borg was producing 338 watts, and that's really starting to get up to a serious chase in the peloton. His heart rate wasn't too high at around about the 150 mark.
Well, the name of the town we just passed to comes from Salty Spring, and Bach means stream, so the village here, Sulzbach, means a salty spring running stream. But it sounds much nicer as Sulzbach, I must say.
Oh, absolutely. It's a place that dates back to the 1500s, and it's again one of those German-sounding names right in the very heart of the Vosges.
7 minutes 2 seconds. He's actually building up now, because look at the front of the peloton here, all freewheeling. They've given up the winner. He's not going to have any challenge at all, except possibly from Chiruka. I can't believe that Chiruka will bridge that gap. We've got 4 riders on the road now, all separated, all trying to pursuit to the finish. And then in this order, they are Heinrich Hausler, chased by Ahmet Chiruka. And then we go to Sylvain Chavanel, who must be suffering all types of pain. And Bryce Feliu is the other rider. And the peloton has got a nice little smile there. He knows now it's his.
He knows he's cracked it now, Phil. He's got complete confidence. He knows his body's not going to give out on him, and he knows all he's got to do is just keep the pressure, the tempo as it is at the moment, and he will run out the winner of a stage of the Tour de France, which is an amazing thing to be in a situation like that. When you're on your own, you don't even have to think about the sprint. You don't have to think about the tactics. You don't have to think about making a mess in a 2-man or a 4-man sprint on the run in towards the end. He can really enjoy this last 6 kilometers of his race.
Absolutely. Chiruka is 3 kilometers behind him on the road, so you can't bridge that. But by the same token, Chiruka left the peloton, Lance Armstrong's side, at the most steepest part of the climb. So he's done well to cut through all of the chasers and be up there for 2nd place today.
Wins and helm, and that is at about 6 kilometers to go for the man in the white jersey of Team Cervelo Test Team, and one of the teams that were brought in, Phil, as a wild card, because they were the team of the winner last year, Carlos Sastre, and they're going to go away with another stage victory to add on to the stage victory of Thor Hushovd in the sprint on the road up to Barcelona.
Well, the rain is still coming down, but he'll be driven on by adrenaline now, and the arms will be tingling with pleasure. 7 minutes 7 seconds inside 6 kilometers. The next sight's the 5 kilometer banner. Then they come at him 1 kilometer at a time as he counts down to the finish. This is Brice Feliu, and he's getting under the 10 kilometers now. He is 4th on the road.
Well, we presume he's 4th on the road because we don't know where Sylvain Chavanel is. I presume he is still 3rd. The computer is still telling me that he's 3rd on the road, but we don't have an actual official time check to...
Run out of cameras.
Yeah, probably.
He's supposed to be about a minute ahead of Feliu, and that's not necessarily safe. So just watch Heinrich Hausler now dig in as he searches down the road for that banner across it, which will tell him 5 kilometers to go. And there it is, high in the sky, just 5 kilometers to go for Heinrich Hausler. The gap has shot up on the peloton from about 6.5 to 7 minutes 8 seconds. He's still pulling away. They've shut down for the day. This man is set to enjoy his finest day as a cyclist.
Well, theoretically, when he gets to the finishing line, Phil, the main field should just be coming up to that 5-kilometer banner, because at the speed that he is riding, he should cover 5 kilometers in about 7 minutes. He still keeps putting his head down there, keeping the pressure on. He's riding at about 45 kilometers now. A little casual check there at the time check, and he's going to say, thank you very much. I'll take that.
Reading all that when you're under pressure takes a bit of time, but he's studied it. He's seen the time gaps. He knows now nobody's crossing the big void to his back wheel today. This rain has created an ocean between him and the rest of the race. Terrific show of strength and a great tactic today by Cervelo, making sure a man got in that breakaway and gambled that if it didn't work on the big climb by the heads, they would all then decide to turn off and wait for the Alps, and it's worked.
Well, the race computer is telling me, Phil, that this man here is at 4 minutes and 12 seconds, and in fact about 15 to 20 seconds behind him is Sylvain Chavanel. So Chavanel may well be recovering on the flatter part of the course, even though he is losing big time to Heinrich Hausler.
That would be equally amazing. Maybe our cameras will seek him out. We've got 3 cameras here and we can't use them over 4 riders. Simple as that. The computer is telling us Hausler is ahead, as you say, by that 4 minutes 11. Chavanel isn't that far behind. They're saying 4:30, so he's about 20 seconds behind the second rider on the road, and Brice Ferrieux is a minute behind him, so he may not bridge to Chavanel today.
Well, there is the yellow jersey, all of the raincoats off now, sitting behind 3 of his teammates who've been mustered up to the front end of the main field to do the pacemaking. It was a very precarious day for him this afternoon. He must have wondered when the big teams like Saxo Bank and Astana came to the front end of the main field, was it going to be the big attack on the first hors d'oeuvre of the mountains? But it wasn't a serious attack by anybody. I think it was just a test to see whether or not Ronaldo Nocentini could resist.
So this will be the first German victory of the Tour de France today when Hausler gets there. Although, as I say, he's been brought up in the town of Inverness in New South Wales, so the Aussies might claim a little bit of the victory as well. 7:15 the gap. The rain still comes down and Heinrich Hausler cuts his trail through it here. He's just past 3 kilometers to go and the gap continues to ascend. 7 minutes 16 as I speak. It's dropped back 1 second, but that's enough. He's got it now.
Well, time is not really important for a guy like Heinrich Hausler, Phil, because he started the day 55 minutes behind Ronaldo Nocentini in the overall classification. All he's concerned about is getting his wheel across the line in first place. Just straightening the crash helmet a little bit. He'll be pretty warm even though the rain is coming down. So as we see Heinrich Hausler head into town, we're just going to pop inside the Garmin Slipstream team car here with Matt White, courtesy of our Geico cam. He's got 3 riders in that main group and they've held the positions today.
Coming in to 3 kilometres to go because we are finishing in downtown Colmar and we have
well, he's got the map in his hand there, so he's telling exactly about the running.
Turns. So it's quite a technical little last kilometres. From 5 to 3 is dead straight, so as long as we have good position going into those last couple of kilometres, we can't be caught out. We've had a great ride so far. Let's not ruin it. 2 kilometres to go now to go.
Yeah, he's absolutely right, Matt. I couldn't hear the sound too well there, but he was obviously telling the 3 riders in that group, which is Christian van der Velde, Dave Miller and Bradley Wiggins. They've done a great ride, and they have today too. So it's a big peloton, Paul. Mark Cavendish, the sprinter, isn't here. He'll come in what we call the auto bus. I reckon he's probably about 10 or 15 minutes back, but he'll be okay. Oh, look at the face here. This guy is seeing 15 men in front of him right now.
Well, just looking, he hasn't, I think he's not even been able to follow the wheel of Brice Ferrieux. He's completely and utterly blown. This can happen, Phil.
I think the point you made was right. He hasn't eaten.
No, and it can easily happen when you're in a breakaway situation in the mountains, and it's much more difficult to remember to eat because you're thinking about putting pressure on, you're thinking about pedaling, you're thinking about staying off the front end of the main field. It is a serious professional error that sometimes even the best of professional bike riders can can make, and I think this afternoon that is what Sylvain Chavanel has done. He may well not even survive to the finish. He could even get picked up, Phil, by the main peloton.
He could, because once you hit the wall, the body sugars are gone and you can't see anything. Steady as you go now. There's no need to take risks, Heinrich, and he hasn't, as he swings in looking for the 1 kilometre to go. Bannon out. Third Tour de France, first stage victory. It's going to come on the east of France, as close as he could be to Germany, in fact, because tomorrow we go down much closer to Italy. As he lines up, there's a massive crowd here in Colmar. He's under that 1 kilometre to go. And now he's just going to enjoy the noise of the crowd in his ears here. It's been a wonderful attack, and he's got rid of everybody. I thought he made a mistake getting rid of Sylvain Chavanel on the way down, but he knew how he felt, and he must have known how Chavanel felt.
Yes, well, he obviously got the feeling that Chavanel was not going well on the first category climb, because theoretically Chavanel should have been the much stronger rider on the uphill parts of the course. He saw that, and he took advantage of it on the descent, and he flew down that descent to build up his lead over the Frenchman. And although the Frenchman held it at 15 seconds for a while, all of a sudden the lights went out. It's a long finishing straight here, Phil. It's almost 1 kilometre straight up to the finish line in Colmar. All he has to do now is just raise his hands in glory and enjoyment. What a great ride.
He was born in Inverell, a small town inland in New South Wales, inland from Sydney. That's where he learned to speak fluent English. He now lives in Germany because he was born to German parents. We know that this town, Inverell, will be cheering madly for him tonight. For their time, it's in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter to this man because he's enjoying every moment of it. Heinrich Hausler, 25 years of age, comes home to his first win at the 3rd Tour de France he's attempted, and he's done it so well through the mountains of the Vosges and the Alsace, and he's overcome here with emotion.
Yeah, good ride, man. I tell you, that really is very special, Phil.
Terrific as he hits the line. I'm not surprised. A very popular guy. He's had a great season. That, by the way, is his 5th win of his season and the 14th win of his career. This rider got away from the boys at the hard part of the course. They didn't chase him. 23rd in his first Tour de France in 2007, and he's about to get second on the stage. There's the reception. Big win for Cervelo.
I'm not sure if you saw the average speed of this stage. We've been over 5 mountain passes, maybe not the big mountains of the Alps or the Pyrenees, but the average speed of today's stage, Phil, 40 kilometers an hour.
Enormous. Over mountains, they did